Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to the 24 hours of F1 stream. Hope you guys have had a lovely time watching the stream so far. I know I have. It's been great to watch this charity event. I'll be taking you through the next two rounds here in Australia and then in Singapore just after that. And joining me in the commentary box as well for both of those races is, of course, a staple, a well-known name to this event over the past 3 years, Jess Gamer. Jess, how are you doing this evening?
I'm doing great, thanks, Aidan. It's been a great event so far. So much money's been raised for charity and a lot of drivers taken part so far. We had some brilliant races, such as the likes of Jeddah, Portimao, Japan as well, and Monza. And we are here in Australia, a track where it used to open a season in real life, but obviously not due to COVID. And we haven't seen it in Australia for a long time due to COVID as well. And hopefully next year we get to see it in real life with the new Turn 10, I believe. But hopefully it should be another good race.
Yeah, fingers crossed it should be another good race. Like you say, we've not seen this track in real life F1 since 2019, which is a little bit bizarre to say. And well, when this track does come back, hopefully next year, it will have a completely different look and feel to it. So this is probably going to be the last time a lot of these people ever drive this track in this configuration, which will be fun to see. And as you said, we've seen so much money raised already tonight. We're nearly at the target for one of our charities already. Of course, charities we're supporting are Young Minds and Special Effects. Make sure you guys are donating throughout the evening tonight. We are still going, of course. We will be going all the way through until tomorrow afternoon, so make sure you get those donations in. They'll be popping up in the chat periodically. If you're in the Discord, the links are in there as well. So yeah, really looking forward to it. And so far there's been quite a few standout teams, haven't there? At the front at the moment, Units are leading at the moment, with Relentless just behind.
Yeah, the shock for me has been Relentless up there at the top, near Absolute Units, of course, with their brilliant performances for all three races, of course. But I think the drivers to watch out for in Australia are the ones with the double points. Elite Racing Team have got their double points this race with Silly Sly Guy. He was really unlucky with Jeddah for disconnecting. Maybe tonight will be the race for him in Australia. We also got the Humble Squad having their double points as well, and then Brandon Glover is having his double points for Tic Tac and Toe. And starting last, pun intended, Never Last Racing. Well, they are going to be last here, and Dylan will need to retire, but he hasn't retired yet, so he needs to invalidate. But yeah, he needs to retire now. But currently, Silly Side Guy at the top, but as most people heading towards turn 9 and 10 now.
Yeah, 9 and 10 now. We're running with Vapor Russell, who's been kind of the choice car, it seems, so far in qualifying. But we're running with him as he comes into Sector 3. Of course, turns 11 and 12. This very fast chicane can catch a lot of people out. I wouldn't be surprised if we see quite a few people having spins or invalidations or problems in that corner in the race. We'll wait and see. Down into the final part of the lap now then, 14, 15 and 16 to finish off the run. Of course, these corners will be changed this time next year when we come to this track. This corner of turn 15 will be widened. The pit lane, of course, has been widened as well. A number of big changes to this track. But we come up to the line, and it looks like for the second time tonight, Silly Sly Guy is going to be on pole position, and by a comfortable margin yet again, nearly half a second at the top of the timesheets. He was nearly 6/10 clear at the top of Jeddah. Of course, really unlucky with a disconnect in the race. But in qualifying yet again, Silly Sly Guy miles clear of the rest of the field, and of course, perfect for the double points race.
Yeah, exactly. I've seen his pole laps around Australia before, and he's quick on this game. I think that was the first time trial lap he ever did around on the F1 2021 game. So not surprised that they're using their double points there as well. Lars having a good result in second. Packer as well making his appearance in P3. Nice to see. Represented the commentators out there. Xander in fourth. We've got Ash Best, Vapor, Gustav, Maladatus, we've got Noisy, Gary, and then Calvin, Bottle, Colin, Makuti also on their double points race. Sozzy, New Garden, and then LOB, and then we got Brandon Glover, Chappie Formula, did not say at that time, and obviously Never Last Racing with Dylan. I'm going to be starting from the back of the grid.
Yeah, back of the grid, like you say, so do the last to first, and now we get to go into the fun part of it, of course, which is the race. Remember, if you're new to the stream, you haven't tuned into the first 4 rounds so far. Every single race, apart from USA, is a mandatory 2-stop race, so each driver has to pit twice in this race. It can be for whatever tyres you want, really. Of course, you have to hit your mandatory tyre allocations for the race, so you can't run the same tyre for all 3 stints in the race. So look out for that. We'll see what strategies people will do tonight. The strategies so far across the first 4 races, got to say, have been very mixed, haven't they? They've been kind of up and down and all over the place for a lot of the drivers, but so far the running theme has been you need to be in clean air. That seems to be the way forward.
Yeah, as well. And in terms of traffic, there's been a few two-stop races I've been involved in last event where I pitted quite late and I was put across in traffic, and it did not help me with the dirty air as well. So they probably learned from last year's event as well. And there's going to be two soft stints, I reckon, around Australia if they were to prolong their meme stint a little bit. So we'll see the softs a little bit more tonight, and the memes as well. Or we could see people going for the early undercut, going on the softs for a few laps and then doing two meme stints. So it will be quite mixed. I do agree, as we're seeing the tyres come up now for people outside the top 10. They, of course, got free tyre choices. Quite a mixed bag, actually. We got the relentless boys of Calvin, who's on the memes, as well as Bottle and Colin there from Esports Wales on the mediums. And we got Trappy Formula, and we got Dylan going for the memes too. But we got Makutsi, Sozzy, Newgarden, LRB, and Brandon Glover all on the softs. And top 10, well, they qualified on the softs, so they have to start on them.
Yeah, have to start them like you say, so they're locked into that tyre, but it's not too much of a disadvantage in a two-stop race to be starting on the softs at the front, because you can pit whenever you like, and we would see possibly a lot of people pitting early. I tend to agree. I think we're going to see a double soft stint in this race. That's kind of been the way of the world so far in the majority of races today. The soft tyres, well, in general, tyre wear on this game hasn't really been as much of a worry as it has been on previous F1 games, so it's fairly easy to get two soft stints into a race. Not surprised maybe we're seeing the likes of Calvin Bottle and Colin Mason on the mediums at the start. They'll probably want to get maybe about 5 or 6 laps in and then maybe just jump off of those medium tyres almost straight away.
Yeah, I think so as well. We've seen a few drivers, including Neverlast Racing, who's starting in P20 at the moment in Jeddah, finish, I believe was P5 due to them pitting quite late as well. So I think the strategy will be to pit either quite early or quite late. If you're pitting roughly about the normal time, that's where you're going to lose a little time a little bit, as well as Silly Sly Guy is leading the field away past turn 13 as we're about to start the lap. Don't forget, we are raising money for two amazing charities. It's just crazy the amount of money we are on at the moment, and make sure you keep supporting us as well. We've got a variety of different commentators on as well. Don't worry, we're not doing the full 24 hours. There's the likes of obviously James Head and Luke Everidge. I'll be doing the stint afterwards. So obviously we're covering these next two races, obviously Australia and Singapore, and then James and Lee will be taking through the next 2 hours of action after that. We've got a lot more, including Packer, who's currently sitting in P3. He's also making his appearance in the commentary box at some point. Can't remember when, but probably most likely during the early hours where most Brits and Europeans are in bed.
Yeah, he's got the short end of the straw. He's doing it when everyone else has gone to bed, but fair play to him. And qualifying third as well for QVR. They've had strong qualifying reps so far in this event. We've seen Campbell featured at the front a few times already as well, so we'll see what they can do as a team here this evening. But it's Silly Sly Guy on pole position for the second time tonight in 5 rounds. Second time tonight. Can he get a good start off of the line in towards turn 1? Lights are out and away they go, and he gets a brilliant reaction time. Does Silly Sly Guy off the line? They think he's already covered Lars into turn 1. Lars is trying to cover off Packer on the way into turn 1. Just about gets to the corner first before the Haas car, so he will stay in second position for the time being. It's fairly clean down the field. I think Colin Mason's dropped a couple of places, having started on those medium compound tyres. We have had someone unfortunately disconnect from the lobby. Fingers crossed they can get back in. Oh, a little bit of contact there. I think that was Maledictus into the back of Xander's car. Someone spun down the back of the field. That's Colin Mason that has gone off. Noisy's gone off the road as well, I believe. So a few drivers struggling at the start of this race. Then another one of the soft runners that started inside the top 10 has fallen back, so we'll wait and see who that is. But fairly clean start at the front of the field. A little bit of a Constantina into turn 3, but apart from that, a very, very clean start.
Yes, it was, and a few people gaining positions. Obviously, Ash Best, Russell, good stuff. They made a few places. Brandon Glover started, I think, in 18th, and I just spoke too soon, and he's had a bit of a spin there through turn 9. So, yeah, I don't want to jinx people too much. I was watching LRB actually start, and he didn't get away. I think he must have either rejoined and then disconnected again, and that's why he didn't get off the line. But luckily he didn't get disqualified, which is great to see. But just like we're seeing in Jeddah, Silly Sly Guy is pulling off a comfortable margin up in front, 1.4 seconds over Lars in second. And we got Packer, who's been chased down by Ash Best, Russell, and good stuff as well. Xander not having a good start. He's dropped down 3 places as a few people were trying to get past. But he's got a long work to do, but I know he could do it. He's a fast driver. I've known him from the VSR chats. He's a very, very quick. He used to be in VRT back in the day, and obviously he was a PSGO F2 champion and got moved over to PSGO F1 for the last 2 seasons, and he's done a pretty good job picking up points where he needs to. We've got another spinner, that is Colin, through turn 2. So Esports Wales not having the best of races so far, as both the Mercedes of LRB and Brandon Glover getting past them right now. As not a good start for Esports Wales, but seems to be a good start for the point scorers so far as well. Makutsi, he's gained 1 place. It's very, very good for him for another point scorers up into P13. So whichever points you'll get for P13, it will be doubled at the moment. But I'm sure he would want to be higher than that as he tries to get past the Ecos driver of Sozzy.
Yeah, and the other person, of course, on the double point, Silly Sly Guy. Look at the lead he's got coming to the end of lap 2, nearly 2 seconds clear of the rest of the field. Of course, we saw exactly the same thing in Jeddah, unfortunately, before his disconnection, but hopefully he can stay in the lobby now. But what a drive already at the start of this race from Silly Sly Guy. He is absolutely flying. Packer is under a bit of pressure here from Ash Best. Ash Best, I think, thought about a move going into the penultimate corner, but couldn't quite get there. I think one thing we're going to touch on quite a lot here at this track is, of course, the curbs. For a start, the curbs are very, very brutal here, and we've already seen a few drivers come a cropper of that, but also tyre temperatures. Tyre temperatures here can skyrocket. I'm wondering whether we're starting to see drivers struggle with their tyre temperatures, and maybe Packer's one of them, because he's got a number of cars crawling all over the back of him now, and Ashbest thinking about a move maybe into turn 3. It's going to be a late dive, but he's not close enough. The braking zone for turn 3 is not long enough, so has to stick in 4th for the time being.
We saw Ash Best throughout this race and throughout the event being very, very patient as well. He doesn't want to be too risky because there's still a long way to go in this event. There's still plenty of races to gain points, and if you lose points at this early stage, it's a hard place to recover from. So Ash Best doing his thing, and he knows the tyres may start to drop off from some of the guys in front now, pushing it just a little bit harder than them, so maybe he's just keeping it steady right now. DRS is activated for everyone, so as long as they're within 1 second, they can try and get past, but the DRS train, I know, is very, very big, and it's going to be harder for some people to overtake. But the one that's quite close is obviously Russell chasing down Ash Best. We've got Xander chasing down Gustav as well, and towards the rear end of the field, we got Sozzy trying to get a move past Bottle then, and he made contact, and Ecos, just before turn 13, has had a little bit of a spin, so he's dropped down into P14, and the other Ferrari Trappy just got past him, and I think he's got damage, so he's probably going to go into the pits, but he's going to get his 1 stop out of the way. That's the beauty of this 2 stop. You're not out of the woods yet.
Yeah, not out of it just yet, but that was just caught the end of that. He's actually nearly missed the pit lane entry there. He understeered so heavily, but yeah, that's a disaster. I didn't see if he was maybe a late move to the inside, or whether maybe Bottle was a little bit late on the defence, didn't quite catch it fully, but either way, that is Sossy's lucky to get away without retiring fully from the event, from the race, so yeah, lucky to get away with it in that sense of the word. Silly Side Guy still a second a lap faster than the rest of the field. He's now 3 seconds clear at the front of the field. Lars cannot keep up at this point in the race. He's really, really struggling to find any sort of pace compared to the Red Bull man. Packer did just get back in DRS range coming onto the start of lap number 4, so that somewhat saved him a little bit. Xander all over the back of Gustav as well, trying to find his way forwards. It's the 2 Alpines at the moment trying to march forwards. As it stands, Xander trying to make up for that poor start. Calvin's still the lead medium runner at the moment, down in 10th position, kind of on his own, not able to keep up with the soft runners, but ADRT Bottle's got a lot of people behind him attacking him, so yeah, a little bit spread out in the mid part of the field, but it's all starting to bunch up a little bit now behind Lars, who's now started to struggle in comparison to maybe some of the people behind him as well.
Maybe he wants to get the undercut nice and early if he's struggling a little bit on his tyres, and maybe he wants to get out of some traffic, but he's not going to. We got a spinner from TGG Noisy, who's found a similar place to what we saw the Ferrari driver of Saucy done. Luckily there's ghosting on, so that gives us less contact. Oh, as someone had a spin down the Haas car in the final corner, but we saw Xander and XL Gary going into the pits. They're going to get their stocks nice and early. Will the undercut pay off for them? And one thing we didn't touch on for the majority of this event is, don't forget, they're not in communication with the other teams. They're in the same car. They're all just in one team, so you're not going to know when, let's say, if you're a Silly Side Guy in the Red Bull, you're not going to know where your other Red Bull driver, Colin R. Mason, who's in Esports Wales, is going to pit. So even though it's not going to be much of an issue, because Silly Sly Guy's in P1 and Colin R. Mason is in P8 to P17. But there could be an issue with the two Alpine cars. They're quite close together, and they could have had a huge factor. So they just got to be wary when these guys decide to pit, because they do not want to have a double stack. Luckily, with the double stacking on this game, there was a patch that brought improvements to that, so they're going to lose less time, but you don't want to get held up by that. Meanwhile, Gustav has got a brilliant run on Russell, heading towards turn 13. He clips the right-hand side a little bit, and he makes it stick, and he's up into P5. He's already making some brilliant headways in this race at the moment, and he's made 2 places. So great stuff from the Alfa Romeo driver.
Yeah, good move there from Gustav. He's through and he's immediately into the pits. I think Russell thought about coming into the pits and darted out of it at the last moment. He stays out on the track. We've got Packer, Ashbest, Gustav and Maledictus all into the pit lane. They're reacting to the stops of Xander and Gary. The problem for Xander, though, is he's now stuck behind Colin Mason and Noisy. He's got a bit of traffic as Dylan's retired. That's coming out of the final corner. Dylan's dropped the car. Coming out of the final corner of the lap, he is out of the race. So their last to first for Neverlast has not gone their way at all. They are out of the running, the first retiree from this race of what I imagine will not be the last either. Out of the pits comes the rest of the field, and look at that. Gustav and Maledictus are actually now ahead of Xander. So Xander has been held up massively in that pit stop phase, and instead of... Oh, Gary's off! Just as I say that as well, Gary's gone off the road coming out of turn 2 as well. So 2 drivers out in the space of about 30 seconds there, and in all of that, Xander's actually been overcut by Maledictus.
I think it's a race for attrition, just like we saw in Japan in the last race. We already got 2 people out of the race, and it's good news if you're the likes of Noisy and just you have that motivation to keep going as well. And Makutsi has dropped down a few positions. He's down into 10th as LRB has got past him now. He's lagging a bit as well on my screen. I'm not sure how he is for you guys that are watching the stream right now, but I'm quite surprised that some people haven't opted to pit yet from the front runners, but they probably will soon as Silly Sly Guy goes into the pits for Elite Racing Team. And then we got Lars in the McLaren. He's going in to the pits too. I think pretty much everybody that's on the softs will be going in now to get their first stops out of the way, and they'll all be going on shiny mediums. No one will be going on to the hard compounded tyres, because I don't see the point. The hards around here is absolutely pointless and useless, and there is no safety car as well. So we've seen a few retirements. They can't benefit from a late or early safety car. They just have to plough through and get some points, because everybody will score points as long as you finish the race. So where did Silly Sly come out? He's come out ahead of some traffic, so that is not good for him, and he's got to try and get past Brandon Glover, and that is good news if you're the likes of people that are planning to stay out, the likes of Calvin, Formula and Bottle that are on the medium compounded tyres. Another yellow flag. That is Makutsi. That's not good for the double pointer who wanted to score double points. He's down in 12th place, and he's got Maledictus that got past him, and Russell as well. So the guys that just pitted, they're struggling to get past people that haven't made their stops yet.
Yeah, Silly Sly Guy trying that move into turn 3, not able to pull it off, and then got a time penalty coming out of the next corner. He's got a lovely run up to 11, but doesn't have the overspeed to get the move done on Brandon Glover. I didn't quite catch what happened with Makutsi either, but how unfortunately what it looks like is he was in the middle of the battle of all the people that had just come out of the pit. I think he may have made contact with either Lars or Packer through turn number 3. Brandon Glover has now been overtaken. Silly Sly Guy using the DRS down towards turn number 13 and gets the move done this time around. So he's now into 4th place on the road. He's crucially got 3 cars in between himself and QVR Packer, who's the next net person in this race. And look at that, Packer pushing Speed Newgarden at the moment through turns 15. Speed Newgarden, sorry, yeah, I get them all mixed up, but trying to get a move done down towards turn number 1 now as Packer is going to go to the outside line. Newgarden is derating towards the corner, and there is no contest there. Packer's through. He's up into 6th position, but crucially, he is now 5 seconds behind Silly Sly Guy, who is the net leader of this race. So working out brilliantly at the moment for Silly Sly Guy. Lars the next person to have a go at Newgarden, but can't get the move done into turn 3, and that is perfect for Packer, who can now try and pull away.
More crucially, Lars was in P2 before the pit stops, and Packer was in P3, so Packer pitting a lap earlier with the undercut has definitely helped him. So Packer, brilliant job from him and his team. I'm sure his team's going to be smiling from ear to ear as we've had a few almost moments from some of the drivers there as they're trying to make some moves. As Newgarden is trying to actually defend here from Lars as well. I wonder if Newgarden knows that Lars has already made his pit stop as they go through this long back straight here. Lars tries to cut off the left and they make contact. That is not good, but that's good news for Ash Best. Lars is now off. I wonder if that will be investigated by the stewards, and Lars has got damaged his front wing. That is not good at all, and I'm sure some people have got to know when to fight and when not to fight, as we've got two cars fighting into turn 13. We've got an Alfa Romeo driver, Gustav, and Maledictus as well, both that made their stops. Russell was in there as well. This is just Paul Samel all over again, but some of these drivers really need to keep it clean in terms of their racecraft, as we saw, I think, Newgarden going to the pits as well as Makuti as well. Lars has been disqualified.
Yeah.
So Lars' team, they're not going to get any points today in Australia.
No, parked in a dangerous location coming out of 12. He's out of the race. Vapor Russell go for a move on Gustav down the inside of turn number 3. Can he get the move done in towards turn 4? He's going to have the outside line. It's got to leave him the space on the inside. Oh, a big wobble from Gustav, but they get away with it. Russell then up into 8th, but it is getting very messy in this mid-pack. So messy, in fact, that Packer, he passed the, I believe it was Newgarden. He passed Newgarden and was a second ahead of Lars. And then within a lap, he's now got 4 seconds on Ash Best. It's just completely spread out now at the front of the field. This is going to play lovely as well for those that haven't pitted yet. Bottle, Chappie and Calvin still out there on the mediums that they started on. They're avoiding all of this carnage at the moment, so they can fit back into this race on a fresh set of soft compound tyres maybe, and it could bring them right back into contention later on in this race. So we'll wait and see. But yeah, it was really, really messy in that mid-pack. For Lars as well, I don't think Lars left Newgarden enough space. Newgarden was around the outside. Lars had the inside line, but tried to move over to try and get the best line for turn 11, and just didn't really equate for the fact that there was still a Mercedes there, and it caused all sorts of carnage, unfortunately. So now it's just kind of a wait and see now for these leaders as to when they come into the pit lane, and just to see what anybody else can do. Ash Best is starting to close back in on Packer, but a 4-second gap is going to be a massive amount of time to gain without another. He's going to have to gain most of that back in a pit stop, surely.
Yeah, I'm almost certain that Ash Best will want to do the undercut on this next stop, because otherwise he's going to lose so much time to the likes of Packer, who has done absolutely a stellar job at the moment. And we're looking at the pit lane loss around this track. It is 21.5 seconds right now, and the gap between P1 and P11 is around 20 seconds. So if Calvin pits now, he's going to come just behind, I think, Xander, Colin, Brandon Glover type area. So they're going to be in clear air too, which will help them a little bit too. But don't forget 2 stops. If they don't do their 2 stops, they're going to be disqualified. City Sly Guy is now going to try and get past another person who hasn't done their first stop yet, but that's comfortably moved up for City Sly Guy. He's up into P3 on the road. Don't forget he's a net race leader at the moment, since he's the first person who's made their first stop to be the race leader at the moment. Packer in second, Ash Best third. Maledictus is doing a solid job in fourth place in the AlphaTauri car, and he's already catching to Ash Best. That is why the traffic that Ash Best had to endure has costed him. The likes of Maledictus is absolutely pushing. They want those points so bad, because that could make the difference to where you are in this championship by the end of this event. Only 2 drivers to get a penalty so far, which could make a difference to this race, which is Silly Sly Guy and Gustav. And Noisy as well. Everybody else keeping it clean, but there's a few drivers on a few warnings, as there's a few people almost losing it in turn 4 and 5 there, with some a bit of understeer there. So hopefully a lot of drivers won't get caught out by that.
Yeah, fingers crossed. I mean, this track is unforgiving already. We've seen, haven't we, that if you make one slight mistake, you can get massively, massively punished for it at this circuit. And, I mean, we're going to Singapore next. I can't wait to see how these drivers have to cope with that, because that's even harder. So, yeah, difficult circuit so far. And, like you said, Ash Best now under threat for Maledictus. He's brought Russell and Gustav and Xander with him. Xander still trying to recover from that poor start and hasn't been able to. We've now got Micheluzzi is now around at the back of the field, so his double points race not going well at all. He's spun coming out of turn 2. I think he's got away with no damage, but that is him now down into the last position at the moment, and he's still yet to make a second stop in this race. But yeah, like I said, Xander still trying to recover from that poor start. He's got a good run on Gustav up towards 13. He might go for the move this time around on the Alfa Romeo if he is close enough to have a dive. No, he's not. He thinks better of it. He doesn't want to risk having a spin or contact with the Alfa Romeo. He stays behind for the time being. You can clearly see he's much faster than the Alfa Romeo, but Xander still just stuck at the moment. That poor start, dropping him down to 7th in the early phases. And we know it's difficult to overtake around this track. He's just not been able to make a single move back yet.
Yeah, and the main pace you can overtake is around about turn 4, turn 3 into turn 4, 12 and 13, and that's pretty much it. You can't really overtake anywhere else. Some people can go for moves in turn 9 and turn 10, but that's very, very brave, and we saw some people try and make moves there, and it doesn't pay off. So we've got a few of the medium runners that started on the mediums pitting now. So we've got Colin, who's just gone on to a set of soft, Bottle that's gone on to a set of the medium compounded tyres, and everybody apart from Trappy Formula and Calvin has made their first stop already. No one has done 2 stop yet, so most people are keeping it relatively clean so far as well. But Trappy doesn't want to stay there a moment long, because otherwise he's going to drop a little bit further behind in the field at the moment. But he got caught up in a few instances as well, so maybe the damage may be undone right now, as we're seeing Ash Bess being absolutely swarmed by the likes of Maladistis and Russell as well. Russell doing a brilliant job trying to defend from the likes of Ash Bess, and Ash Bess has definitely been caught napping. They made contact a little bit there as well. Here comes Maladictus into turn 13. They're trying to leave as much space as they can, and wow, huge respect from both of them, I have to say. Ash Bess is not being patient at the moment, almost being forced off the track. Ash Bess has hit the wall, and he's got front wing damage. He has to pit, and he has to make his final stop early, but luckily he was too close to the pit, so he's not going to lose that much time. But that was a very good battle up until that point. Calvin is making his first stop of the evening, so just leaving Trappy Formula, the only driver to make their first stop. And then we got Ash Bess, who will make his second and final stop of the evening. And he wanted to go on softs, but because of his front wing damage, he has to resort to the medium compounded tyres now.
Yeah, Xander now in the other Alpine trying to get the move done around the outside of turn 4, and Gustav losing the rear of the car, but just about getting away with it. Brandon Glover's had a spin at turn number 2. Turn number 2 really catching some of these drivers out, and he's the latest to have a spin around. Of course, Brandon Glover's another one on a double points run here this evening at Australia. That has again gone horribly wrong for him. It's only working for Silly Sly Guy at the moment, who now has a net near 10-second lead over the next person on the same strategy as him. He is gone at the front of the field, and likewise Packer is counting in his lucky stars that everybody seems to be falling over one another behind him. No one is able to close in on Packer, because every time Ash Bess tries to close in, he then makes a mistake and then is swamped by Russell and Maledictus, and then has a spin of his own. So it's working perfectly at the moment for Packer, staying out of trouble. Big moment for Maledictus coming out of turn 13, but getting away with it. And fair play to Vapor Russell as well. We saw the mistake from Ash Bess. Maledictus tried to pounce and couldn't, and Vapor Russell on the way into 11 got the pair of them.
Yeah, Russell has been the star, I think, so far out of the midfield runners. Absolutely brilliant performance from him so far, and he's been defending for his life out there in these last few laps as well. And I wonder if he is going to be the one that outsmarts everyone towards the end of this race. So watch out for him, and watch out for Maledictus as well. But don't forget Xander's within DRS as well, but he is harvesting his ERS. He's running out as well, and that is a huge factor around this track. ERS could die on you if you're not careful, so you've got to be saving a little bit. Russell, though, has been saving his ERS a lot, which is why his advantage has increased at the moment. Maledictus is not doing too bad. It's just Xander that's just losing a bit of time as well. And the likes of Packer, he's doing quite well on his ERS, but he doesn't have to fight too well, because the next car is around about 3.7 seconds behind. So Silly Sly Guy, though, he's got another penalty, so he's up to 6 seconds. So his advantage, he needs to increase it a little bit if he wants to win this race, but surely he's got nothing to worry about there. But you never know, Packer could possibly use this as an advantage, because he could potentially still win this race if he keeps it penalty free.
Yeah, if he keeps the penalty free, definitely. And we're only now halfway through this race, and Silly Sly Guy is already on 2 penalties, so we could see another one pop in, or maybe another 2 for the Red Bull man. So if Packer is able to keep it penalty free, he could bring himself back into contention. It's not over this race by any stretch of the means. Silly Sly Guy may have the pace, but any sort of mistake from him in the latter stages, and that could be his possibility at a comfortable race win over and done with. We shall wait and see. Further down, Calvin on his soft compound tyres is now closing in on the back of Gustav for 7th place, and sets the fastest lap of the race in the process as well, at 23.883. So look out for him trying to work his way forward. Of course, only made 1 stop in this race, but he is now right in the thick of this battle for what is, at the moment, you've got to say, 4th place in this race. Gustav with a penalty, but he's not too far behind this whole battle between Russell, Maledictus and Xander. That battle's not over and done with, even though Vapor Russell and Maledictus, as Gustav picks up another penalty, Vapor Russell and Maledictus have completely dropped Xander. Xander just can't keep up.
Yeah, I think a few people have picked Australia because they're strong on it, but I think most people have picked Australia because no one else wanted to do it. So I think that's why certain people are struggling. To be fair, Australia is not the nicest track to race at in any game. I haven't even raced around Australia on this game, but turn 12 and 13, the curves could be absolutely deadly, and definitely towards turn 4 and 5 where we see a few people spinning it as well, and turn 9 and 10 could be quite costly, as we saw earlier, as we saw Calvin, who's got past Gustav actually on those soft tyres up into P7. The alternate strategy working very well for the relentless driver in the McLaren, so that is good news if you're supporting them as well. As also Calvin actually is catching up to Xander, so that is bad news if you're Xander trying to actually gain on the likes of Maledictus and Russell. Chevy Formula is actually making his first stop of the evening in Australia as he goes on to the soft, so we'll be making one more stop, which means that everybody has done their first stop, and Ash Best has done 2 stops, and it won't be very long, maybe in about 1 or 2 laps time where we'll see a few people make their first and final stops. The Silly Slide Guy and Packer at least will probably make their final stop soon as well. Watch out for, I think, Russell as well. I think he's going to be the first one to blink, I think.
Yeah, you've got to say he's probably going to be the first one in. He's going to try and want to close in a bit of that gap on Packer in front. So he'll try and maybe come in a little bit earlier. Now, do we see these people come in maybe in the next 2 or 3 laps and put on the mediums, or do they stretch it maybe 5 or 6 laps further and go on to a set of softs? We shall wait and see. I think it's fair to say probably Calvin and Chappie Formula are both doing a double soft stint to the end of this race, considering they both took their medium tyres quite long into the race. That wouldn't be a surprise. I think maybe Colin Mason might be doing the same as well down in 13th. So we'll keep an eye on their strategies. Vapor Russell is closing in on Packer. The gap is down to 3.3 seconds. It was up at 4 seconds a couple of laps ago. So the Vapor driver is about 3 to 4 tenths a lap faster at the moment than the QVR man. The QVR man is, well, 11.5 seconds off the lead, but with the penalties included, it's only 5.5 seconds off the lead at the moment. Packer doing a solid job for QVR in second position. I think that would be, I think, their second podium of the event if they was able to bring home that second place finish. We shall wait and see. Calvin now within DRS range of Xander, and yeah, Xander now nearly 3 seconds behind Maledictus. Xander just really struggling for pace at the moment, not used to this track maybe. You mentioned it, that some people may be doing this track because others didn't want to. Maybe Xander is at one of that case, because we expect to see Xander at the front of the field fighting really hard, and right now he's just really struggling on those mediums.
Yeah, he is, and he was one of the drivers that was brought in last minute to actually go into the Australia race. It was Kareem that was meant to be racing it, and I think the team realised that Kareem couldn't do it, so Xander volunteered because no one else wanted to do it. So maybe it's down to the lack of practice potentially as well, or it may just be the other drivers are a lot quicker and put a lot more practice in compared to him. So he's got a lot of work to do, but never say never. There could be some mistakes, and he could still climb his way up the order. As Calvin, he just picked up a 3-second time penalty into turn 11 and 12. This can hinder him a little bit, but that doesn't matter. Calvin tries to get past Xander into turn 13. Easily does it on those soft tyres with Xander on the mediums. Calvin is up to P5. Remember the person that started near the back and is up to P5? It was one of the Never Last Racing Boy in Jeddah. Calvin from Relentless is doing exactly the same to what Never Last Racing did in Jeddah in the first round.
Yeah, doing a brilliant job at the moment is Calvin. That 3-second penalty, like you say, will hinder him at the moment, but as it stands, the only person he'd lose a place to is Xander, because Chappie is too far back and Gustav has 2 penalties himself. Chappie, though, fastest lap of the race at 23.8, just a few hundredths faster than what Calvin had set a couple of laps previous. Russell still bringing that gap down to Packer. It's now down to just under 3 seconds now, so if Packer does pick up a penalty, Russell is now within range and is dragging Maledictus with him. So looks like those 3 are going to start to Constantina up, and of course, don't count Calvin out, don't count Chappie Formula out either. They're one of the freshest soft compound tyres. They're faster at the moment. They could all Constantina up into this battle as well. Looking a bit further down, Saucy on the back of LRB 05. Fair play to LRB at the moment. Of course, disconnected at the end of the start of the race. Didn't actually take part in the actual formation lap and the actual start of the race. Got back in control of his car midway through lap number 2 and is now running inside the top 10 as Russell picks up that time penalty. LRB, good recovery so far considering he disconnected earlier on.
Yeah, I have to say, I think he's benefited from the driver's spin. Apart from the lap 1 instant where he disconnected and had a bit of a moment in turn 1, no problem for him so far, but he is under pressure from Ecos Saucy as well, who, remember, had that instant in turn 13 earlier. So let's hope he doesn't have the same again. But he hasn't used that much ERS Saucy throughout this race. 68% is his ERS at the moment. so he's going to try and overtake him, but to no avail. Packer is one of the first of the leading bunch of the top 5 to come in for his final stop, so he swapped his mediums to his softs. Will this help him with the undercut compared to his rivals? We'll have to wait and see. Ash Bears picking up a 3-second time penalty, which is hindering his race a lot, but he hasn't yet. Well, he doesn't have to make another stop. Everyone else has to, so he's going to climb up his way up the field. So we're seeing where Packer's going to end up on all of this. He's got a bit of track in front of him, not that much though, so he will concentrate on trying to get past Bottle and try and decrease the advantage that Silly Sly Guy has at the moment, which I have to say is absolutely massive. But Silly Sly Guy and Russell and Maledictus yet to make their second stop. The top 8 yet to make their second stop, and neither is the top 10 downwards. Noisy and Packer and Ash Best, the only drivers have yet, who have made their 2 stops so far. And we're not seeing many people making moves right now. They're just people holding steady. We've got Russell, who was defending earlier, and no surprise there, he's got his ERS on 11%. So I wonder if he's going to be saving some right now. Probably not though, because he's got Maledictus behind him at the moment. Calvin's going to be crashing on those soft tyres as Packer has picked up his first, I think, is it his first 3-second time penalty in the event? I think it is, yes it is. So yeah, not good for him, but not too bad because everyone else has either got 3 or 6 seconds. So Silly Sly Guy stays out, same with Russell, but we're seeing a few more drivers come in. That is Russell, Maledictus, Xander, and Gustav that are coming in for the soft compounder tyres. And I think we'll see more people coming in very, very soon. So Silly Sly Guy would probably want to stay out and increase his advantage as much as he can right now, because he is still pushing, and the advantage he has, it doesn't really matter. But the pit lane loss around here, like I said earlier, 21.5 seconds, so you don't really want to be out for too long.
No, you don't want to be out for too long. Like I say, Packer, lovely move past ADRT Bottle around the outside of turn number 2. He's up into 4th place on the road. But, interestingly, Packer has actually lost time in all of that. He went for a lap earlier pit stop, and the gap has almost nearly halved between himself and Vapor Russell. So, interesting in-lap there from Vapor Russell. Looks like he's had a very, very good in-lap into the pit lane. I wonder if Packer as well was a bit held up in that final sector behind the Aston Martin, because he has completely dropped him already by the time he gets to turn number 9. But now just wait for Silly Sly Guy, Calvin and Trappy Formula, the top 3 yet to make their second stops in this race. I don't imagine they'll stay out for too much longer. Silly Sly Guy can keep going. He had such a massive advantage anyway that he's not under any immediate threat of losing that race lead. I imagine we'll probably see Calvin in. He was in and around that battle anyway, but nope, he's staying out for another lap, so he's going to continue on his soft compound tyre, as will likely Trappy as well. Was there we go, Russell down the inside of ADRT Bottle into turn 13. He got the move done a little bit quicker than we saw from QVR Packer. Gap's only 1.7 seconds. Could Russell maybe steal a second place finish here off of Packer? And if Maledictus can keep up with them, Maledictus with no penalties at the moment could steal the second place off the pair of them.
And Maledictus is actually going to try and go for a move past into turn 1 through Bottle there, and that was comfortably done from him, because don't forget Bottle has yet to make his second stop. But Maledictus, because of that, has already caught up to the back of Russell. How cool is this? We could see another midfield battle with the likes of Russell and Maledictus for the podium. And if Ash Best didn't get caught up in that incident, he would have been up there as well, because he would have been on the soft type and would have been on the same strategy as well. Mikutsi has pitted now from the mediums, and I assume he's going to go on to a set of the soft compound tyres as well. So Maledictus, will he have enough ERS save to try and get the move into turn 12 and 13 for Russell, or will he be forced to stay behind for another lap and try and get past into turn 3 and 12? Our race leader, Silly Sly Guy, comes into the pit, and his pit grew very, very fast to get him in there, and he's going to be going on the soft compound tyres to the end of the race. Silly Sly Guy has driven a fantastic race so far. I wonder if Calvin is going to follow Silly Sly Guy in. He does actually, so yeah. Calvin has also had a good race too. He's going to be going to another set of the sauce. Trappy goes in as well. We'll see where they all come out in relation to the likes of Packer and Russell and Maledictus in 4th, 5th and 6th at the moment. Silly Sly Guy comfortably comes out in the lead, but we'll see where Calvin, I think, I'm just looking at this, Calvin and Packer is going to be very, very close. But Packer comes across the line, P2, and he stretched the gap to 1 second. So yeah, Russell has eaten the time to Packer there on this lap in the pit stops, which I have to say is incredible. So brilliant job from Russell at the moment. Maledictus will definitely get second place with all those penalties.
Yeah, as it stands, Maledictus has comfortably got second place in the bag at the moment. So I guess he can just sit behind and not have to worry too much now about passing them on track. I think he maybe want to pass them if Xander gets any closer, but Xander 4.2 seconds back on the same set of fresh soft tyres is going to have his work cut out for him to try and close back in on this battle for second position at the moment. Basically what this is a battle between Packer and Vapor Russell for the final spot on the podium at the moment, with Maledictus right behind them. So I imagine Vapor Russell's going to want to try and get past that Haas car as quickly as he possibly can. He has the fastest lap of the race, does Russell, at the moment. I think a 22.5, I think he might have set on that last lap, which is a very good time. But all of them derating, I think. They're all, apart from Packer, they're derating. So they're using a lot of their ERS up. Calvin dropped back behind Xander in that pit stop phase, staying out 2 laps longer, putting back behind the Alpine. And Trappy's right behind as well, almost within penalty range of the McLaren man. So Calvin could lose 6th position as it stands. He'll want to try and close in on Xander as much as possible, but again, there's not much of a tyre advantage between them. We'll have a look at quickly as well how many stops everybody has done. Everybody now has officially done their second stop. Nobody is required to pit for another time, so everyone now fighting towards the end of this race from this point onwards. And a little bit further down the field...
Packer and Russell! Ooh. Packer and Russell going for a move into turn 4. Russell almost got the job there, but Packer is defending quite nicely from Russell, the challenger. Russell is the prancing horse. Packer wants that position badly, and all of this is allowing Maledictus to be within all their penalties. And Maledictus is just going to be keeping up with the pace. He doesn't even need to go for the move, and he will get a position. And Xander could be in the fight as well if he keeps pushing too, because he also has no penalties. Trappy also has no penalties. Russell is definitely fine for this. He could go for a move here into turn 10 and 11, which he does not, but he's going to be within DRS range. The curves could be very deadly, but luckily they just about avoided. 2 tenths is the gap. Russell's on 50% ERS though, as they make their way towards turn 13. Russell did not get the switchback that he needed there, so it will have to be turn 3 and 4, maybe even turn 1, before they get the most silly slide, guys. Just on a league of his own right now in Elite Racing Team, setting the fastest lap of the race so far, and he's 14 seconds clear of the next car, so he's probably liking that these two are fighting because he can increase the gap up front. Russell is going to have a take 2 on Packer into turn 1, but Packer again defends to the inside and he stayed in P2. Russell at turn 3 in towards turn 3 and 4. Could this work out for him? Not much space. That was very, very close on that right hand curve. Watch out for those curves, they could bite you. In towards now, heading towards turn 5. Can Russell make the move? Stick he does. Beautiful stuff, and he's already 5 tenths clear of Packer. And Maledictus, game on. He's got to try and get past him now, but I'm sure he doesn't want to because he knows about the penalty situation. But Russell is on for P2 on the road, but with that move, that is crucial because he will probably get a podium unless Xander can catch up to these guys.
Yeah, Maledictus now really needs to get past Packer. He doesn't need to let the Vapor driver get away from him. He wants to try and keep up with him as much as he can, but at the moment Packer's sticking within DRS range of the Williams. It was an aggressive move from Russell, but it was a fair move down the inside. He just about found the gap down the inside on the way towards turn 3 and got the move done. Can Packer fight back? I don't think he's got the pace at this point in the race, and he's on the oldest set of soft compound tyres of all of those inside the top 8 at the moment, so he's going to have the least amount of pace. He's got to worry maybe about his tyres falling off maybe towards the end of proceedings here in the Australian GP, so we'll see what they can do. Can Maledictus find a way through? Not quite. Xander is now nearly within penalty range of Packer as well, so Packer could be losing another position. We've got a yellow flag. That's Noisy that's gone off the road. I think that's possibly the 3rd time he's spun in this race. Oh, thank God there's a ghosting system in this race, in this game, because that would have been a catastrophic collision between Noisy and LRB, but Noisy without a front wing is going to have to come in to make his 3rd stop in this race. It's been a bit of a horror show, unfortunately, for that Haas car. The other Haas car's had a good race, but he's now under threat of losing that 4th place in this race to Xander now.
Yeah, he is. I think Xander, has been saving his energy for the last few laps. I think his medium run has not been the best, but his soft run here is starting to come alive a little bit. Maybe he's on low fuel and he's loving the low fuel, or maybe he's used to this track. 2.6 seconds now is the gap between Xander and Maledictus, and that is key, because if Xander gets past Maledictus, Xander would be on the podium as he starts to close in right now. So Xander coming back, and it just shows you do not give up in this race. You could fight back. Noisy goes into the pit and unfortunately has to make a 3rd stop in this race. Packer still trying to close in onto Russell once again. The battle is still not over between these two. It's not the end of the race yet. Any one of those two could get a podium, but only one of them can due to penalties. And you know, I have to say the big surprise of the race so far has got to be Russell and Packer so far. But for some of these guys, it's their first race as well. Probably that's why they're not warmed up to the event as well. And for some of them, it's redemption, just like Silly Sly Guy as well. Trappy Formula's had a best race so far. He's up to P7 and he could get P6 on penalties if he falls within that range. How many penalties is Calvin on? He's on 3 seconds. So as long as Trappy keeps within that 2-second margin, then he should get Calvin on penalties. But I know Calvin, that the driver he is, I know he races in quite a few leagues, he's going to push to make sure Trappy just doesn't get anywhere near him.
Yeah, it really is. Ashbest, meanwhile, going for a move down the inside of Gustav in towards turn number 3. He gets the move done. Gustav had a bit of a moment at turn 2 on the previous lap and lost a bit of time. And Ashbest on his medium compound tyres is able to fight his way past and up into 8th place. So a good recovery from the Alpine man after a bit of a horror show, unfortunately for him, at the start in the midpoint of this race, having spun and lost his front wing a little bit earlier on. It is still all going on at the moment with that battle for second position. As Russell's dropped it. Russell's dropped the car.
No!
Coming out of turn number 12, he had second place on the road in the bag, and without any contact, I don't think he's hit a wall, but he's just dropped the car on his own. Oh, and really aggressive defensive move against Trappy to try and hold 6th, but he can't do so. The Ferrari man up the inside gets the position, but from a comfortable maybe 3rd place in this race, Russell's dropped it all on his own. And yet again, this track proving difficult. These drivers through turn 12 and through turn 2 are really struggling to keep the car on the road, and now Maledictus has a free run at Packer for second on the road, and Xander's closing in on the pair of them.
Yes, that was unfortunate. Unfortunately, that is one example of a commentator's curse, and hopefully the last commentator's curse that I would do this stream. So Russell then has got a lot of work to do, but he doesn't have any damage though, so he's got some time to fill in at the moment. And in terms of penalties, he's going to definitely gain off Gustav anyway, so that shouldn't be a trouble. So he should still be in the top 10, which for Vapor in the Williams car is still pretty good, but I'm sure he wanted to something even higher than on lap 27 of 29. This is the 24 hours of F1, and we're raising money for Young Minds and Special Effects as well. 2 amazing charities, 2 links which you can find if you type in !donate in the chat if you want to donate to those 2 charities. We're already on an incredible amount so far, so thank you so much for donating. In a few moments time after this race, whilst we wait for people to go into the lobbies, we will read a story from someone from Special Effects where someone has had a huge impact on their lives from gaming, with someone who had a physical disability. And I did read it before we started our race, and I have to say I almost cried after reading that. It was a great one to read as well. I'm sure there'll be more stories read later on in the stream. As we saw Maledictus then, he's going to get the run on to Packer. I don't think he had to do that because he knows that he's got no penalties. But if he does not get the moves, Xander will catch up. So that's probably why Maledictus is going for moves, because he knows that the guys around him would probably catch up. But Maledictus stays behind Packer for now, and he should get P2 on the road anyway. But Xander is almost within DRS of these 2 drivers, so they've got to get a move on.
Yeah, they really have got to get a move on, like you say. Xander closing in very, very quickly, and if they start battling, Calvin and Trappy Formula aren't far out of range either, so they can always capitalise if something happens a little bit later on. So we'll wait and see. Only a lap and a half to go. Silly Sly Guy is still in this race, by the way. If you're just tuning in, Silly Sly Guy has driven away from the rest of the field at the moment. He now has nearly a 20-second advantage at the front of the field. We're almost at a point in this race where Silly Sly Guy could pit for a 3rd time and still be in the lead of this race. He's in a complete land of his own at the moment. No one has come near him. Maledictus getting a run out of 12 towards 13. Can he get the move done down the inside? No, he can't. He's not close enough to the back, but Xander is now right with them. Xander almost, and is now within DRS range. The DRS detection point is just before turn 14, so Xander has now got DRS. Maledictus here, he can't play it too safe. If he sits behind, he could end up unfortunately losing the place to Xander, but if he goes for the move and it doesn't pull off, then he could lose more than that.
I don't know what I would do if I was Maledictus right now, but I would rather get P4 in this race, or even P3, than spin out and go for the move. That's what I would do at the moment, but Xander's running out of DRS anyway, so I think it may be too late for Xander. If it was one extra lap, maybe Xander would have gone for it, and there's still plenty of corners to go, so never give up for Xander. I think I think the low fuel mode is where Xander is coming alive in this race. I think when he's had high fuel, he was struggling with the understeer in this track and the curves and being pressured by the guys behind as well. I think when he's behind the cars, he's all right. But when he's got cars behind him trying to fight opposition, that's where he struggles. And I think that's what's helping Xander at the moment. But I will hand it over to you as Silly Side Guy has only got a few more corners to go.
Blimey, yeah, Silly Side Guy's going to round the penultimate corner and out of the final corner. He's going to come up towards the line, and Silly Sly Guy, by a comfortable 21-second margin, is going to win the Australian GP here, round 5 for the 24-hour event. They're still battling for second. Calvin got a second penalty, so that solidifies his 6th place in this race. Trappy was already within penalty range. Anyway, at that point, Packer is going to hold on to second on the road, but he will drop out of the podium places with that time penalty. Maledictus in the end is going to score a second place finish in the AlphaTauri. Brilliant drive from him. Xander on the podium as well. Packer will pick up 4th. Still a great drive, but that penalty in the end costing him a podium position. Trappy ends up 5th from the back of the field on his strategy as well. Calvin will end up 6th. Vapor Russell spinning before he gets to the line ends up in 7th position. Ash Best, after recovering from a front wing loss, will finish in 8th position. Saucy for Ecos will end up in 9th in the second Ferrari, and Gustav rounds off the top 10. It was a great start to the race for Gustav, but a mistake late on and he's fallen down the field unfortunately, and in fact Bottle beats him to that 10th place on penalties in the end. So interesting race in the end. It was a race of attrition. We only had 3 retirements, but we had a lot of people making mistakes. You've got to say, only the top 10 really got to the end of that race without a mistake.
To be fair, if I was racing in that race, I probably would have made a mistake as well. So fair play to all those drivers, as we got Mikuti, going to be the final person to cross the line. And don't forget as well, just like the Relentless drive, I can't remember who drove for Relentless in Portugal. It was Nathan who had a double points race there as well. It's the second time this event that someone who had their double points in a race went on to win the race. So instead of Silly Sly Guy getting 25 points, he gets 50 points. And I'm sure the Elite Racing team, the drivers, the managers, will be very, very proud of his performance.
Yeah, that's brilliant for them, of course. And that makes up as well, you've got to say, for Jeddah, where unfortunately he lagged out in the lobby while leading. So that is a real bounce back for Silly Sly Guy. And my, what a performance that was, to be 21 seconds clear of the rest of the field by the end of that race. That was utter domination, nearly a second a lap faster than anybody else for the entire race. What a performance from the Red Bull man in the end. So ERT on top, Elite Racing team, and their double point score as well. So 50 points on the board for ERT after that race. That's a good bounce back for them. Maledictus in second position in the AlphaTauri. He'll be happy with that. Olimpo will be happy with that performance as well. Xander picking up 3rd position in the end there. Then it's Packer for QVR in 4th. Trappy Formula ends up in 5th for the Absolute Unit. So they continue to lead this event at the moment. Calvin in 6th for Relentless. Then it's Vapor in 7th with Russell. Ashpest, Saucy and Bottle round off the top 10. Then ET8 Gustav in 11th, and it's LRB 05. Colin Mason, Brandon Gover, Micheluzzi, Noisy and Newgarden, your finishers in the end. Newgarden though a lap down at the end of that race. Lars, Gary and Eleanor Dillon, your 3 retirements in that race. Dillon was trying the last to first and he retired very early on. Gary after the first pit stops, and Lars being disqualified from the race for being parked in a dangerous location. So good result in the end for ERT, but unfortunately for the other 2 teams that were trying out their double points race, not good for them. Humble Squad unfortunately not getting really any points on their double points, and neither for Tic Tac and Co.
No, and if your double points race goes badly and horribly wrong, then you can't change and say, oh, can I have a double points race there instead? You can't. What's done is done, and you've chosen it, and it's too late. So, bit of a shame, but the interesting thing about the next race when we go to Singapore is no one has chosen to do their double points race in Singapore. I'm not shocked because it is a long race. It is very enduring for the drivers as well. So no one will be scoring double points. But I think the ones who have chosen Singapore, they're probably the smartest of drivers and can endure like almost an hour of racing. But luckily it's clear weather. Luckily it's no rain as well. Luckily there's no safety cars, so it won't last an hour, but it is going to be the longest race in the 24 hours as well. So we're starting to see people already inviting their drivers into the lobby, so thank you very much. Hopefully we'll get more of their teammates doing the same, and we're about to get the next race underway. But before we do that, we've got a few things to do. We've got a few stories to read, and we've got a few bios to read from the teams too. So whilst we get waiting for the next drivers to slot into the lobby.
Yeah, we do. So why don't we start off with that then? I believe I've got the story up with us here, so let's have a read through this lovely, lovely story that we've got. Like I said, I had a quick read through it as well. It is a really, really stunning story from Special Effect. Go and have a look at the specialeffect.org.uk website. There is plenty of stories on there if you want to read through them yourself. I'm sure more stories will be read out as well across this evening, but they are really lovely stories. This story is about Adam, so we'll have a quick read through. So, yeah. Everyone can help in their abilities, and the need for change for many. This translates into an exception of a bright gaming future. But when Adam could no longer play, our lifelong promise became his lifeline to this world. Adam, an avid gamer, passed away unfortunately last year. He had muscular dystrophy, and when our specialist assessment team met him in 2014, they were able to help him play games like Assassin's Creed on his PS3. Loved that game. I played that game religiously when I was younger, and on his laptop, despite his minimal finger movement. With careful positioning, he was able to use a small joystick with his right hand, and some buttons with his left hand and his head as well. There are plenty of pictures as well up on this website, so please go and check this out once you've done your races or in your free time as well. And of course, make sure that you're donating to the Special Effect cause as well. It's a brilliant, brilliant organisation. Over the following years, his condition steadily progressed, and when the games he loved became too tiring for him to play, he was unable to leave his room. His laptop became his life. Adam's entire life was spent online, watching gaming videos, watching movies. It let him sort his finances, write a book. But most importantly, it kept him in touch with us, explained one of his friends. For 6 years, our team returned again and again to find new ways to keep him using his laptop as his abilities changed. Although by 2019 he had lost all movement in his hands, unfortunately, we were still able to help him use his laptop by a very sensitive miniature joystick that was precisely positioned by his bottom lip. When everyone else would have said, that is it now, his condition has progressed too far and he wouldn't be able to control the mouse himself, you found a way, said his friend, and every time you did, his spirit continued. Every time it seemed to him that all was lost, you found a solution and kept him going. His whole demeanour would change every time your equipment gave him the confidence to keep going. When his finger failed, I still remember how we relieved and pleased he was at the amount of control he regained through using his lip. Your multiple interventions over the years literally kept him in touch with this world. You spent time with him, tried so many solutions, and even thought his case was a very difficult one. You persevered and succeeded for him. This had more of an impact on his quality and enjoyment of his life than anything else. In the last few months, we would chat to him a few times a day, and we would thank you for your help. I'm so grateful and know what we have to do. Our commitment to our ongoing help is so important to us. It was a genuine privilege to help Adam throughout his changing nature of his condition, and we're honoured that our lifelong support went beyond the gaming and made such a fundamental difference to his qualities of life. Our grateful thanks to Adam's adopted family for letting us share this story. That is a brilliant, brilliant story from Special Effect, and like I said, you can go read that yourself at specialeffect.org.uk. Please make sure you donate for Special Effect and for Young Minds as well. I'm sure there'll be some stories from Young Minds throughout this stream as well. But just reading back on that, Jess, it's a really touching story, isn't it? And it just goes to prove how vital charities like Special Effect are.
Yeah, exactly, and it just goes to show that people with physical disabilities can game just as much as we all can on a daily basis as well. And even though I don't have a physical disability myself, I have a hidden disability, and that doesn't affect me when I race at all. It just drives me to get better as well. So fair play to the people at Special Effects for just giving all their support as well. And for Special Effects at the moment, we're on £246.26, and for Young Minds, we're almost at our target, 91.7%, which I have to say is huge. So massive shout out to all of you that are keeping donating. We want to get over the 2,000 mark like we saw last year as well. That will just be incredible. We can't rely on Normans this time because Normans is not here. So everyone else has got to try and pull through, and I believe as well there's going to be something rewarded to the team that also donates the most as well. But it's going to be a tight competition for that as well, because it's not just on the racetrack, it's also for the donations as well, which is great to see. So I'm trying to invite the last few people into the lobby. We've only got 16 so far, so just bear with us. But if you can't go in, just let us know, and we will get started very, very shortly.
Yeah, fingers crossed we will get started very, very shortly. Like you say, just 4 drivers we are waiting on. And that lovely story from Special Effect, of course, goes to prove that the quality of life is the most important thing that we can think about as well. And while maybe, like you say, for ourselves as well, I don't personally have a disability. I don't know many people that do, unfortunately. But even though we may personally not have that experience with our life, it is so crucial that we're making sure that everybody else that does have that, unfortunately hindering their experience in life, that we're making sure that their quality of life is perfect for them, as good as it can be. So that is why charities like Special Effect exist. It's why charities like Young Minds exist as well. So please, like you say, make sure that you're donating. Click message exclamation mark donate in the chat, and the donation links will pop up for you. And if you're in the Discord, they are in the Discord there as well. So please make sure that you are donating. But while we're waiting, I suppose, Jess, do you want to lead us off on some of our lovely team maybe bios? We'll have a little read through of what some of the teams have said about themselves.
Yeah, I am trying to invite people as well, but I think a few people are having PlayStation issues trying to get into the lobby. But I will read someone if I actually can find out the Discord. There we go. So just to make it easy for the other commentators that will have to read, we will start from the first team. That's sent quite a comprehensive document with the team as well. It has-beens will be the first one I read out. So they've got information about their drivers. So we all met at Invictus Racing League before being excommunicated. So that is interesting to see as well. Howie B recently fired from IFR for being too slow and giving up F1 to appease his needy girlfriend. He's also a former TTML F1 champion and Invictus F1 champion. After 2 seasons of being dominated by CRG Gaming, he finally waited it out and got the title he wanted. Oh, I absolutely love this, whoever wrote this. Charlie Harris, blacklisted from pretty much every league he races in. Dry sense of humour that only comes from the Saharan desert, but quick and a former Invictus F1 champion. Scott B7, another blacklist bandit, Kit from IRL, from comparing Scottish people. Well, I'm not going to say the full extent to it is a bit rude, but former IRL F1 champ, he does really like F1 and races on Sarah Corsa against the BTCC lot, and he's got his own race car and is hoping to sweet talk his way to some sponsorship. Nice, Scott. I am looking forward to seeing him race later on today. ADRT Ball, which we saw race earlier, formerly known as TR44S. Not a Hamilton fan, but a Max fan, and his name is Tom Lees. Worked that one out. Former IRL Constructors champion and spent his days training in the velodrome in the north, pretending he'll make the Olympics one day. That is very cool. I kind of want something to do like that. Foxy Red, which we saw race earlier on, the original bandit. The man cannot overtake without contact. He's a former IRL F1 champion and races cars. He idolises Senna, but was born in 2000, so never actually saw any of his races. Well, you can still idolise Senna, couldn't you? Even though you weren't born in the times where Senna was racing. I was born just after he died, actually, and I still idolise Senna, so, you know. Bermanizer, we needed a token foreigner, and we found this Dutchman walking the streets of Eindhoven, rambling nonsense about Max Verstappen being better than Lewis Hamilton. We felt sorry for him, so took him in, and I'm trying to rehabilitate him. Oh, I'm liking these answers. Nightshade, we aren't quite sure yet if he's from this planet. He missed a championship in Invictus IRL. No, Invictus realistic performance by 1/10 on the last lap around Singapore, and has never recovered. He currently floats from league to league looking for a reserve driver, I believe. I need to look at the lobbies, actually. I believe he's the one racing in Singapore. No, no, he's not. He's racing somewhere else. I think he must be racing in Mexico. Harry B is racing in Singapore. Okay, that explains it then. And Gareth, what can we say? Is hero too weak for a word? Former champion, winner in PSGO F13 and Jacker car runner-up and rookie of the season. He's got it all. Washed up 32-year-old who actually found a job commentating in real life at the back of this game and has provided commentary for the British Superbike feeder series for the last 2 years. I have to say, that's pretty incredible. And obviously Gareth and Dan did a great job commentating earlier in the 2 hours before us. And yeah, Gareth's going to be racing, I believe, in the Netherlands as well, which I believe is the race after this. So, or the race in 2 races time, I don't know. But best of luck to Gareth anyway. So, yeah, that is it then for that, as I am trying to get the last people in. And I do believe we have the up-to-date standings that Mark just posted in our Discord chat. So,
oh, beautiful.
Yeah, so if you're in the driver's chat, you can see it. And and I'm just trying to see who's leading that. It's is it the Absolute Units that's leading? Yeah, it is. 129 points. That is pretty incredible.
Yeah, 129 points for the Absolute Units. Relentless in second by the looks of things, 120 points. I think this is taken off just after Australia as well, so this is live updates after the race we've just had. Only 9 points between the top 2 teams, and they're the only 2 teams with over 100 points at the moment. It's very close behind that. It looks like with their massive double point score, in Australia as well, ERT have now jumped into equal third place with Bottle Job Racing on 97 points. So close at the moment, isn't it? 9 points separating the top two teams, and then the teams are level in third position at the moment, Bottle Job and ERT, and that's a really good comeback for Elite Racing Team.
Yeah, it is, and it just goes to show that if you have a good result like that, you can overcome your mistakes as well. And there's obviously a lot of teams still yet to do their double points race, so it's a chance for them to capitalise. And it just goes to show you that if you have a good result like that and you have a strong driver who performs well under pressure, then you can also get double points and win a race as well. We've seen 2 drivers have done it today, and I wonder if we can get a third. But obviously, we won't be able to get it in Singapore. We're just waiting for one driver, and that is, I'm just trying to see, an Alfa Romeo, and I believe that's Ginger. So I think we're waiting for Ginger to go in. I just sent him an invite, so hopefully he could come in as well. I think Ginger's invite has been glitched, because it said for him he's got 22 drivers and 3 spectators. You're clearly in the wrong lobby, my friend, so hopefully we can get him in. I swear to God. But I have to say, Singapore is one of those tracks where it could go on forever, but it takes a lot of skill. Lap times can range to around about the 134s, 133s, to around about the 137s as well. First used in Formula 1 2008. Remember, we saw the crash gate that happened there, where we saw Fernando Alonso took the win. He also won in 2010. Nico Rosberg won once, 2016. Lewis Hamilton's won 4 times, same as Sebastian Vettel too as well. And the safety cars made at least one appearance in every single Grand Prix held to date, but we're not going to get a safety car here as well. And the amount of G-forces that they could experience here as well, and the heat as well that these drivers can experience as well, is huge. Luckily the drivers won't have to experience tonight unless they have a hot room, but it's going to be a very difficult race. The soft tyres, you're only going to be on it ideally for 4 or 5 laps, because after that the tyre temperatures is a big factor, just like Australia, and obviously the tyre deltas as well is going to be a massive factor. So yes, it's more likely going to be 2 medium stints compared to obviously what we saw in Australia, where we saw 2 soft stints. So ideally get your soft stint out the way and end off early, to be honest.
Yeah, I would say I'd probably agree with you on that one. Yeah, the soft tyres not a favourite around this track, to say the least. I think you can use them in qualifying, and then they're pretty much dead from then on, aren't they? So yeah, wouldn't be surprised if we see a lot of people off the soft compound tyres within the first 5 laps of the race, and we'll have to see what people outside the top 10 are starting on as well. You would imagine they would be on a set of medium tyres. We mentioned Australia would be a race of attrition. It was a pretty difficult race in the end, so I wonder now, so Singapore, we know Singapore is a street circuit. It's a fairly difficult street circuit. It's the longest race of the night. It's got a lot of corners. It's one of the longest laps in terms of time as well. This track, you've got to say, if there's ever going to be a track where people are going to lose their concentration throughout a race, it's got to be this one, surely.
Yeah, it is. I actually like this track around on this game. I don't know why. It's very nice and flowing. It's very good if you're a wheel user. If you're on the pad, it may be a bit more difficult as well. I actually commentated the Singapore race last year in the event with a good old Dan Field as well, who's making his ground on the PC now, doing an absolutely amazing job, and he's going to be commentating the top 2 at PSGL with Jinder Andy as well in season 30 as well. So he was known on PlayStation, but now he's on PC. We do miss you, Dan, but I've seen him in the chat quite a few times as well, supporting the event, so it's great to see. I am trying to invite Ginger one more time, so Ginger, if you can hear me, I am trying, but I don't know what's happening with your game, my friend, because if you can't come, it'll be very, very annoying, actually, but I think that's the only driver we're waiting for. But yeah, I enjoyed the race last time. It was definitely a race of attrition, and we saw some really crazy moves. We thought now it's going to be a boring race where it was just people following people 24/7, but no, there was just overtake left, right and centre. So I think we're going to see a very competitive race, and we do have some strong drivers in this field. And whilst we wait for Ginger to join this lobby, we can actually go through who's actually going to be in this lobby for this race whilst we wait for Ginger.
Yeah, let's have a look through, shall we? While obviously we're waiting for Ginger, he is just restarting his game. I think I think we'll all agree that there's been many a glitch on this game, so not surprised that there's going to be a few little delays. But yeah, let's run through who each team should be running here tonight. Of course, there might be some changes that we maybe missed. Excel running Dylan for the first time here this evening. Dylan has raced in many of things that I've raced before. I know this man personally as well. He's usually very good at Singapore, so we'll keep an eye out for what he can do. Elite Racing Team are running Thomas. Thomas, I think, has raced once already so far today. Relentless are running Passe for the first time today. Colin Mason's back in the car for Esports Wales. IFR Stinson for IFR. Then it's Harry B. VSR Duncan is racing for Bear Carell's Humble Squad. I've got Terra Racer, and of course we've got to talk about the person starting last here today, Ecos Menno for Contest of Sports. So Ecos will be starting at the back of the grid today.
Yeah, so they've got a tough act to follow because it is quite hard to get your 2 stops nice and early done there as well if you're the back. If you were opted to start your race in Singapore last in the wheel, then that's not a good sign. But we have seen people start last here before and climb up their way through the field, so not too bad. And it looks like, unfortunately, Ginger could not join the lobby, unfortunately. The amount of times we tried, his game is just not giving any luck. So I'm afraid the Humble Squad, for no fault of their own, is going to get 0 points, which is a bit unfair with Ginger trying to join the lobby. But yeah, it is unfair to restart the lobby with only one driver having trouble. So yeah, unfortunately, Humble Squad 0 points for this round, unless we can get Ginger to join in just before the end of quali. Fingers crossed, but at the moment, no points for Humble Squad.
Yeah, that's a real shame, unfortunately, like I say, for Humble Squad that Ginger can't attend. Like you say, hopefully he can join maybe whilst qualifying is going on so he can start at the back of the grid for the race and work his way forwards. We shall wait and see, but many a problem with this game with invites and things like that. Not surprised whatsoever. It's going to happen at some point. It's just a shame that it had to be Ginger here this evening, just as people were starting to sing his praises as well, unfortunately, in the chat for the 24-hour event. Everyone's saying Ginger for the win, and Ginger unfortunately can't attend at the moment, which is a real shame. But we'll get ready for qualifying. We'll ride on board with whoever the game picks for us. I imagine it will probably be one of the Williams cars, but we shall ride on board with them, and I believe it is. Yes, it is. It's IRL Neon that we're going to ride on board with for a lap around Singapore. So let's do a full lap of the Singapore circuit then with the IRL driver, then in towards turns 1, 2 and 3, just missing the apex ever so slightly of turn number 1 through turn number 3. Menno disqualified for driving the wrong way. He will start from the back for his last first challenge, then in towards turn number 5 and onto the Raffles Boulevard for the first proper overtaking opportunity on this track. You've got to say down through 6 and in towards turn number 7, then running underneath all of these buildings and then up towards the turn 7 braking zone, heavy on the brakes for the corner. Nice as it stopped, but again just missing the apex ever so slightly. It seems IFR Joel at the moment leading the way at the top of the timesheets after the first sector, then through the middle part of the lap now, coming through turn number 9 and then up towards turn number 10, which was reprofiled a few years back, well nearly 10 years ago now. This corner was reprofiled. Mind me, it's been a while since that's been the case. And then this section as well over the Anderson Bridge has been reprofiled in recent years. Again, Neon not looking too comfortable around this circuit. He's taking it very, very easy. I don't think he's not invalidated though, so at least the lap will count as it stands. He heads down the second of the DRS zones, then up towards turn number 14. Is an overtaking opportunity, but it will be a brave one, and you have to be kind of side by side into the corner anyway to get the move stuck into this final sector. Then this is where the majority of the corners are at the finish of this lap. Then quick succession of left, right, left 90-degree corners. Bit of understeer in the Williams, maybe overheating those front tyres ever so slightly underneath the grandstand. And then coming up towards the end of the lap, 23 corners for these drivers. Then he's just heading through turn 20 and 21, and then it's 22 and 23 to finish off the lap here. Very fast left-handers to finish off, and it looks like VSR Duncan is going to get the fastest time. Yes, he is, by nearly half a second. Yet again, we've got a big time at the top of the timesheets. VSR Duncan in his first race, I believe, this evening, gets the fastest time for the Bear Carell team, and I believe it was Gustav alongside him on the front row.
Yes, I have to say Duncan doing an incredible job there as well for the Bear Carells as well. I've seen him drive around Singapore before, and he's just amazing as well. Another driver who has done well in PSGO in the past. He was runner-up in season 28, just missing out to Wilson Hughes as well, who's just moved on to the PC. So Duncan doing what he needs to as well, and Dylan there doing a great job in third place. A strong qualifying for the XL team today.
Yeah, strong qualifying there for Dylan. Lewis in fourth position in the Alpine, then it's Harry B. QVR Packer again up there in qualifying, then it's Sam Corby, who's back in that Ferrari. Joel, Jerry, PSV, and then Passe rounds off the top 10 for Relentless. It's Rado, and then it's Ashida, Jarufo, Libanow, Colin Mason, Thomas, Neon, Speedy Y Racer 18th, and of course Menno starting from the back of the field. And I believe, unfortunately, Ginger hasn't been able to join the lobby in qualifying, so it looks like he will miss, unfortunately, the start of this race. So Humble Squad is down a race at least, which is a shame to see. But yeah, going into the Singapore race, then top 10, of course, we will all start on the soft compound tyres. Got to say, though, outside of the top 10, I'll be surprised if we see anybody starting on those softs because of how quickly they wear off.
Yeah, I think the people that are outside the top 10, I'm almost certain they're going to be starting on the mediums. But there may be a few brave souls that want to get their soft stint out of the way for the undercut, because the undercut is quite powerful due to the fact that it's one of the longest pit stops in terms of pit loss on this game. So starting on the softs won't be a too bad of an idea, and some people just may want to be on the mediums for the rest of the race as well, which could last 16 laps. So we could see a mixture, but don't be surprised to see people outside the top 10 on the mediums. Obviously top 10, most of them qualified on softs, so they're going to be starting on softs. But I am seeing some garages that have got mediums fitted already, so don't be surprised there, as the formation lap is about to get underway. And apart from Menno, who's starting last, everyone outside the top 10 have gone for the mediums. I had a feeling someone was going to be very brave outside the top 10 to go on the softs. I didn't think it was going to be the driver that's going to be starting last.
Yeah, that's a bold strategy, isn't it, from Menno? But I think starting last, he may be just thinking, well, A, he'll be fresh, which is at least a benefit for him, and he'll be able to work his way forwards as quickly as he can, gain a few places in the early laps, and if maybe he does get some early damage at the back of the field, he can pit early and not lose too much time or compromise his strategy too heavily. So good, I'd say a good option for Menno, trying to work his way forward as quickly as he can. He's got quite a few people to work his way through. We've got Neon, Speedy Y Racer in front of him, Colin Mason as well, and Thomas. So a few drivers for them to work their way through then. Who are you looking at in this race, Jess? Who do you think is going to be the one to look out for? Of course, Duncan on pole position by a comfortable margin. Is there anyone else that stands out to you?
Well, there's a driver that's performed absolutely outstanding. Don't forget, on one of the last two races that Sam Corby did today, he actually finished and won the race. I think it was Monza, I believe. I can't remember. And he was just looking on form. So it just goes to show for him, it doesn't matter where he starts, he performs well. So expect him to climb his way through the field as well. Of course, he's been known as CRG Gamer in the past, but obviously now he's just Sam Corby. He mainly races on PC now, but he does race on PlayStation from time to time, including tonight as well. Also another PSGL veteran that most of us know and love, and yeah, I expect him to do well there as well. And I'm just seeing who else I think could do well. Maybe Joel as well, Harry B, who obviously loves Singapore. We just highlighted his team earlier on. I picked it random, to be fair, as well, but good stuff, doing well. But obviously you can't count out the race, the pole. So you put it in pole for a reason by quite some margin. If he continues that form in the race, just watch for the similar amount of dominance to what we saw with Silly Sly Guy as well. But don't forget, no one is going to get double points. So the maximum points that people can get around it is 25 points. So the next time we're going to see double points race, I believe, is the next... Actually, no. We're not going to be seeing double points for a while, actually. The next time we're going to be seeing double points is around 10:45 around Mexico. So we've got a long while to wait. So no double points until Mexico, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, a long way to go there for the double points races then. So 25 the maximum you can get in this race, like Jess has just said. We're just waiting for those to line up at the back of the grid then. Racer lining up in that 18th place grid spot. Duncan on pole then from Gustav and Dylan at the front of the field. Those are the top three. Who of these drivers is going to get the best start off of this grid then? Is Duncan going to be able to hold the lead into turn one? Can he pull away from the rest of the field like we saw Silly Sly Guy do? Lights are out and away they go, and it's a fairly even start, you've got to say, at the front of the field. Dylan in third, looking, he's got a good start, and he's already alongside and ahead of Gustav into turn one. Around the outside goes the AlphaTauri, but off the track in the process goes the AlphaTauri. Just keeps the place though. Dylan up into second place, Gustav losing out at the very start of this race. Passe's dropped a few places further down for Relentless. I think a bit of contact at turn one for him. He's dropped down the positions, and I think Thomas has dropped down a few places as well. For ERT, a big moment there for Harry B. I think Packer maybe has just had a moment coming out of 5, and Harry B had to avoid it in the Aston Martin. They're nearly 3 wide coming up into turn number 7. Packer on the inside is going to force Jerry out of position on the outside of the corner. Joel's going to try and retake the place as well. Can he get through? No, he can't. And all the Haas hits the wall coming out of the turn number 8. That could be some front wing damage for Packer on the opening lap of this race. We'll wait and see if the drivers behind can get past as well. It's the medium runners now. Jirofu is the lead medium runner in 10th place, trying to look down the inside of the Singapore sling, and Packer understeering out wide. I think Packer in that Haas does have some damage, and they're all constantly Costantinoing up quite heavily. Further down, I think Ishida's dropped the car. Yes, the AlphaTauri made a mistake there. Menno is already up to 13th from the very back of the grid, so he's had a brilliant start on his soft compound tyres. And yeah, Packer, it seems to me, has some front wing damage already.
Yes, not good for Packer, who did well in the last race in Australia. And yes, I did say starting last in Singapore is not too bad. He was able to avoid the carnage and already up to 13th. And he could get 12th, actually, in his final attempts to try and get past Passe. But easier said than done. And just like we saw in the last race, Duncan is already pulling away a 1.5 second gap over his nearest rival of Dylan. So has a common theme at the moment in these last two races. The one that started on pole is the one that's dominating. So Duncan doing absolutely brilliant so far for Barrera Corrals. As we got Neverlast Racing, who's up into 9th as we got Packer into the pits for his first stop. But I think it's not too bad. I remember doing a 2-stop around here, and I pitted, I think, lap 3 around here with the undercut, and I just got past so many cars because of it as well. So potentially doing the early stop won't be too bad because you can get those mediums 18 laps to 2 medium stints, not a problem, but he's got to lose a chunk of time due to the front wing. So the pit lane loss around 28 seconds will be probably more than that, around about 31 seconds for Packer due to his front wing damage. Not good for him. Meanwhile, Passe Menno is trying to go side by side. Menno brilliantly controlled there, and Menno is up into 11th place, and he could get past Rado in 10th place. And maybe starting on the softs as outside the top 10 has worked wonders for Menno starting in last place. He had nothing to lose, essentially.
Yeah, literally had nothing to lose, so he's worked his way forwards. It's worked lovely for him on board with Passe. He's really struggling on his soft compound tyres already, so him starting 10th has not worked out at all for him. Menno working his way forwards, like you said, onto the back of Rado now in the Haas for a spot in the top 10. It's kind of been a theme, hasn't it? Those that end up starting last in these last to first races gain loads of places on the opening lap. We saw Matthew Older do that brilliantly at Portimao earlier on in this event. He went up almost into the top 10 by the end of lap 1, and Menno's done almost exactly the same here, so he's loving those soft compound tyres at the moment. So is Duncan in the lead of the race. The gap is now 2.2 seconds over Dylan. Make that 2.3 as they come out of turn 21. Duncan just continues to pull away. Dylan likewise is just starting to gap Gustav as well. So Gustav for ET8 struggling a little bit as Jerry is into the pit lane, and so is Sam Corby. They're both into the pits. And interestingly, Giroffi for LNR in 7th place on the medium tyres sets the fastest lap of the race. So already the medium tyres look like the faster tyre.
Yeah, so I wondered that fastest lap time will surely mean that more people in the next lap will come into the pit. So just watch out for Duncan and Dylan. So maybe they could read my mind as pitting at the end of lap 3 would be the best option, and for that undercut. So as we saw Alpine almost straight line there past turn 7, but he stays in P4. Lewis doing a great job holding his own now in 4th. Harry as well doing a great job in 5th position. Menno again gained 2 more places up into P8. If he gets past Giroffi in P7, then he's now going to be closing up to the soft runners. And I have to say, that is incredible pace from him so far. He's going to be on the same strategy as people in the top 10, well, most of them anyway. And he's going to gain quite a lot so far as well. Let's see who else has gained quite a lot so far apart from Menno. I think Giroffi has gained 6 positions as well. Speed Y Racer Yuri, he's gained 5 places, so a good race for him so far. Same with Thomas as well in 14th. He's had a good race so far, gained 2 positions as well as Neon as well. But don't forget, there's 4 people that have made their stop, so that could cause a Constantino effect at this stage. But will Duncan think about pitting? Well, he could pit any time because he's got a comfortable gap, but we'll watch to see if that gap starts to decrease a little bit. Nope, he stayed out. Will that mean Dylan come and do the undercut? He does go for the undercut then, does the XL driver. Gustav stays out. Lewis comes in, so Harry comes in too. Joel as well, so a bit of a mixed bag. Menno stays out too. Again, he has nothing to lose anyway, so majority of people who are on the soft coming in, but we got 3 people that were on the soft. They're staying out, and one of them is our race leader, but he's still pulling the gap quite nicely to Gustav, so maybe it may not be the be-all and end-all for Duncan.
Yeah, I think the good thing for Duncan is he had such a margin already over Dylan, nearly 4 seconds, that he can stay out a lap longer and not actually lose track position to Dylan despite the faster tyres as out of the pit lane they come. And Sam Corby's actually jumped all of them. Look at that in a lap. Sam Corby has jumped the lot of them, so he is now in a net 2nd place. That is a brilliant move then from the Ferrari man to pit a lap earlier. He's jumped the entire queue pretty much in 1 lap, so Brilliant stuff from him then. Packer and Passe a little bit further back after their slow stops as well. So they're running down back of the field. Packer, of course, having to make that front wing change at the end of the opening lap. Joel's lost a bit of time as well in the Mercedes. He's just off the back of this queue in 17th position. Duncan then leads. Gustav, I think, has just made a mistake. Yes, he has. Gustav's made a mistake coming out of the turn 13 hairpin. And look at that. The gap's now 7 seconds between him and Duncan. Gustav here is going to plummet at the end of this pit stop, surely. He's going to drop all the way down past Joel, possibly closer to Packer.
Yeah, I think he's just losing so much time because of it now. And Drew Wolf was going to say, thank you very much. I could gain a lot of time too as well. So I wonder if Gustav will be thinking about pitting now because he's losing so much tyre temperature. You can tell that he's struggling in the final sector, especially with those tyre temperatures. So is he going to come in? Yes, he is. No-brainer for him as well. Don't forget the speeding in the pit lane penalties. So easy to do around here. I've sped quite a few times around here. There was one on the last game where I got an awful 10-second penalty that obviously got removed after Stewards because it was deemed unfair, luckily. As we're seeing, where is the likes of people going to come out? So Duncan comes out of the pit lane. We're going to watch out for Sam Corby then. Has he done the undercut of dreams for the likes of the ones that just pitted? For Duncan, he just comes out. But for Sam Corby, he's just undercut the likes of Dylan and Lewis. That's tightened up perfectly. So where did Sam start? I think Sam started 6th, 7th, and he's up into a net P2. I did say he was a man on the mission, and I did say he could be the driver to watch, and he was right, and he's already catching up to the back of Duncan. He's up a lot of time to Duncan, so that pit stop, advantage Sam, I think.
Yeah, advantage Sam, definitely. That's works beautifully for him, and crucially, they've all split out of DRS range at the moment. The first person in DRS range is Harry, but Harry's got a speeding penalty for his first pit stop. Further down, Packer and Menno fighting. Menno's just come out of the pit lane. Packer's trying to get the move done on the Ferrari man, but the Ferrari's going to try and come back around the outside at turn 8. He's going to switch back for the outside at 9. Can he get the run to the corner? That'd be a lovely move if he can pull it off. Packer down the inside. They make a bit of contact. They just about get away with it. They're going to go side by side up to turn number 10. One of these two is surely going to have to back out of this corner. They don't. They continue on. They'll be side by side into 11 down the inside, and Menno bounces off the side of the Haas. Off the side of the Haas. He resets the track as well. We said one of them's going to have to back out. Neither of them backed out, and in the end, you can't go too wide through turn 11, and Menno spun off the side of the Haas. I don't think there's really much either of them could have done in that situation. One of them just had to back out.
That is unfortunate. A man that was on a mission who started last and went up to P8, P7, and now he's going to be way down the order at the moment. That is a bit of a shame, of course, but 3 wides in some sector corners around Singapore does not mix, and Menno had to take the risk. Unfortunately, the risk did not pay off there for Menno, but still a long way to go. Still quite a lot of people that yet to make their first pit stop, so he can still gain a lot of time back. Harry B has picked up a penalty so far this race. No one else has done so, which is good news. Joel trying to get past Joey PSV, which he does, which is great to see. So IFR Joel up into 13th in this race so far. So Duncan, your net race leader. Duncan pulling away from Sam Corby. The gap was 1.4. Now it's around about 2.7. So Sam must be losing a lot of time on those mediums and lost a chunk of time, but he's gained it back with the way Duncan lost a bit of time battling with the likes of Neon in traffic. But Sam is going to have a hell of a task to fight back. But never say never for Sam. You know, he could be on for a podium, a win. He's already got a win so far in this event, and he's one of the teams to watch out for in this event. I'm almost sure there's about 3 or 4 teams that can definitely win this thing as well, and there's still some teams that haven't run all their drivers yet, so we still don't know how these drivers are going to do in the course of a race. So Sam needs to get past Leon ASAP, otherwise Duncan is just going to pull away like no tomorrow.
Yeah, he's going to just pull away, like you say, and then of course Dylan's not too far back. He's ready to pounce if any sort of mistake comes. But look at that, yeah, Sam now into this final sector. There's not really a way through anywhere in this part of the lap unless Leon goes off the road, but I don't think he will. Look at this, yeah, the Ferrari just stuck behind, and look at Dylan just taking time out of the back of that Ferrari now. They're basically cruising through this final part of the lap. Colin Mason now with a time penalty in 4th position. Dylan, though, look at that, has taken a second out of Sam in the final sector. Sam's got to get the move on Neon now in towards turn 1. Surely he's going to have a look down the inside, but Neon defends the line into the corner. Sam's going to have to try and go around the outside of the corner. He nearly gets forced off the road. They run side by side into turn 3. Sam's going to have the outside outside line for the corner. He will get the move done around the outside. Lovely move from Sam Corboy and great defensive driving from Neon. But Dylan now is right on the back of them. So Dylan, he needs to now get past Neon so that he can keep up with Sam and not get caught by Lewis and Harry behind.
This is an overtaking spot, turn 7. Neon has got to try and get this move on Sam. Sam's harvesting and they make contact. They make contact. That is not good. And Dylan is capitalising on that and says, thank you very much. That is 2 free positions and he's up into a net P2. And what could have been for Sam? I'm sure he's going to be investigated. I don't think Neon had to fight that because Neon, didn't have to, needed to do 1 stop. Sam has already done 1 stop. So surely maybe Neon would have picked his own battles and let Sam through, but it is a race for goodness sake. But, you know, a bit unfortunate for Sam. I think he doesn't have any damage though, but he's got a lot of work to do now to try and get back to near Dylan, but there's not much for Gap. He's not lost a bit of time, so he's going to gain at least to Lewis and to Harry B because he's on time penalties. And look, he's already catched up to the back of this train already, so don't lose hope on Sam, but that could have been an avoidable crash, sadly, as Vapor Liver now has got past Rado up into P4 of this race out of the medium runners. Still yet to make a stop as Joe has got a 3-second time. But I did see someone go into the pits. That is Rado in the Haas, who's going to make his first stop. And I believe it will be on to a second set of the mediums, or will the halves be used for the first time?
We'll wait and see as here comes Harry B now down the inside of Neon into turn 1. Harry B gets the move done on the Williams man and gets up into 8th place on the road. Neon trying to fight back. Can't find a way through though, and yeah, a little bit of an unfortunate incident between Neon and Sam Corby. I think Neon had the inside line, but he didn't need to fight it. Sam, I think, turned across expecting Neon to back out when he didn't, and it was just an unfortunate incident. Lewis now breezing past the Williams of Neon up towards turn number 7, and it's round 2 now between Neon and Sam Corboy as he closes in, and he's dragging Joel and Gustav with him. Neon though really struggling on those medium tyres. Sam looking down the inside. There's not a way through there. Further down, Packer and Joey going side by side into turn 7. Packer's going to get the move done on the Alpine up towards turn number 7. Packer up into 14th on his comeback. Passe and Menno still just behind, trying to find a way through as well. They're a little bit stuck. Rado came out way down the field in 18th position after his stop on a set of soft compound tyres. Neon, as Duncan now passes Libanow as well, down up towards turn number 14. Duncan carving his way back through the field. Dylan on his own at the moment, and everyone seemingly stuck behind Neon. Here goes Sam around the outside up towards turn 14. Sam late on the brakes around the outside of the Williams. They nearly come to blows again on the apex of the corner. This time around though, Sam's got the move done. Neon can't fight back, and now Neon's got to defend from Joel and Gustav behind.
Yes, indeed. Don't forget these drivers in real life have to face physical challenges. I'm sure these drivers have to face physical challenges here as well, as we saw in the Williams, almost getting caught out once again. But this time from Joel to head towards the final few corners. It's very, very twisty, and you're going to come to a long right-hander coming up now as Neon is going into the pits then for his first stop. So now Joel has got some breathing space in front, but he's got good stuff still challenging him behind, as well as Neon will probably go on to another set of mediums. I think he is as well right now. So looking at your results so far, Duncan comfortable margin in front, but then next to Duncan, next P2 will be Dylan, and then it's Harry B in third. Lewis, who's doing a stonking job, in fourth, and he could get past Harry. A yellow flag. That might be someone in the pits, or has someone binned it in the final corner? I don't know, but here comes Joel and Gustav heading past turn 8 and into turn 9. Can he keep it on the exit? Joel did not have the best exit there, so this could be Gustav's chance to fight back as they head near to the Singapore Slate. This is the part of the track that I absolutely love. Into turns, I think it's turn 10, I believe. So Joel just doing enough to hold on, now heading towards the bridge, which is another part of the track, which is very, very tricky. The apex is quite blind, but Gustav will have to fight another day at the moment. Meanwhile, for the midfield runners, Thomas has just got past Libanow as well. So the ERT driver getting past the Vapor driver up into P5 already. So a pretty good job from him as well. And in terms of the mean runners, it is Jelf that leads the way, but I did see someone go in into the pits there and almost cut the pit entry, which is not ideal, but or it might have been just someone missing the pits, I'm not entirely sure. But there's still Duncan, who's trying to make his way past the ones who haven't pitted. His first job is to get past Colin, but that should be no problem at all. Maybe in turn 7 is where Duncan could try and get the move, or maybe the end of turn 4 and 5 potential, or maybe now past turn 3 he's going to try to at least. But Colin is definitely giving a run for his money so far, but you need to really pick your battles as they go on this back straight into the DRS zone. And yeah, Colin just lets Duncan through. Easy does it. That's how you should do it if you want a different strategy. Just let people pass and no problem at all. We've got another yellow flag as we saw an AlphaTauri. That's Shishida, who's spun there and took past turn 7 into turn 8. So that is not good for him. And don't forget, he's another driver who's yet to stop. So he's going to fall towards near the back of the grid as it stands. And he spun again. His tyres must be stonking hot right now due to his spin. And with Singapore, you can't afford to spin because your tyre's just going to be at 1,000 degrees or something. I don't know.
Yeah, they're going to be incredibly hot. But yeah, Ishida's spinning on his own at a 7, and that is his race pretty much ruined. You've got to say now he's just plummeting on those tyres that are really, really hot. Gustav will be the next one to have a run. Gustav has passed Joel on the previous lap as well, so he's up into 11th place. Packer and Menno fighting now over 13th and 14th. They've dropped Joe massively at this point in the race in 15th. He started off the race very well, did the Alpine. He was inside the top 10, battling the leaders. Was all Passe behind him. Has a big wobble coming out of the hairpin. Menno and Packer now side by side. I think there might have been a little bit of contact there between the two of them, but Menno gets the move done. He's up into 13th place then. But yeah, Joey just kind of falling down the field in this stint on the medium compound tyres, not enjoying them whatsoever. Duncan then continues to be our net leader. He's now 10 seconds behind Jirofu, so Jirofu comfortably out in front. He's the only one yet to make a stop that seems to be liking these medium tyres. The rest of them are just kind of falling through the field at the moment. Ishida's had a spin, and the two Red Bulls of Colin Mason and Thomas just do not have anywhere near the pace of Jirofu at the moment.
No, they don't. I think Jirofu is doing an incredible job so far. We could see a similar strategy to what we saw that one of the medium runners do in a few races ago. So he's going to probably do a long medium stint and then do a shorter medium stint next, and then do the undercut for the soft compounded tyres as Dylan comfortably gets past Libben out up into P5 at the moment, and I'm sure it's going to be a breeze past Thomas as well before he tries to catch up to Duncan. But Duncan has already got a huge advantage anyways. He's got past most of the traffic already. And just to point out actually about the stewards, we saw the reset to track from Menno, who don't forget started last. Well, don't forget, reset to track does cost you 5 championship points. So the stewards got back to us, and Contest of Speed Esports will have 5 points deducted to their overall total. So not good news for Menno, and if you're watching this, that is a pure reminder, do not reset to track, you will get points deducted. End of story.
Yeah, end of story. That is a shame for Ecos, but yeah, that is the rules, and they've broken the rules, unfortunately. That is their penalty then for that misdemeanor, so fingers crossed that, well, stops people from doing it themselves as well. We shall wait and see. Duncan then still our net race leader, bringing the gap down to our actual race leader. Dylan still runs in a net second position, and fair play to Dylan. He is running pretty much completely on his own at the moment, trying to work his way through the traffic. Harry B is the next person behind him who's on the same strategy as him, but he's of course got a 5-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane, so Dylan comfortably in a net second position at the moment in that AlphaTauri. Ishida I think may have had another moment. No, actually he's diving into the pit lane is the AlphaTauri, so he's given up on those medium compound tyres. He's into the pits for his first stop of the race. Then nobody as of yet, I believe, has made their mandatory 2 stops. We've just still got Jirofu, we've got Colin Mason, Thomas and Libernau, who are yet to make their first stops in this race. Everyone else has made at least 1 stop in this race. Joey and Passe going side by side into turn 1. Oh, a bit of contact between the two of them coming through turn 1 and again through turn number 3. Fighting really, really hard, these two, over 14th on the road. You'd think they'd be fighting for the win. They're not. It's for 14th. Passe gets the move done, but Joe will have the DRS down the back straight, although didn't get the best of runs through 5. I think that is his battle with there over and done with, unless he's got the run, because Passe's derating down that straight. Joe's going to try and move maybe down towards turn number 7. He looks to the inside. He's not close enough. He'll stay in 15th for the time being and Passe through. But Passe was within DRS range of Menno and Packer just a few laps ago. He's now 10 seconds off the back of them. So that battle between the two of those two really has hindered the McLaren, unfortunately. Back to the front of the field, and we've still got more battles of those that are yet to pit. Here comes Lewis down the inside of Vapor Liber. Now far too late on the brakes was Lewis down the inside. Went for the dive and completely missed the corner. That's him now behind Sam Corboy, and Gustav is now right there as well. Gustav trying to go.
Wow, this is insane. He's going to try and go for the move for Lewis. Oh, Lewis almost hit the wall. How did he avoid that? He's going to get a warning almost certain for corner cutting. believe Lewis is on 2 warnings now, so you got to be careful with pushing the track limits, because if you get one more warning, you do get a time penalty. But Gustav He is absolutely pushing right. I have to say, Joel has gained quite a lot of places in this race too, as we do have a yellow flag once again, but it may just be either people moving out of the way. I do see a Haas car going slowly, so it might be him, but Joel's dropped a bit from Gustav into turn 1, and I think it's probably due to the dirty air, which is an absolute nightmare around Singapore as well. That's what's costing me a few results around Singapore on this game, which could have been a lot higher right now, as Rado gets a 3-second time penalty. So more time penalties are coming to fruition at the moment. So many places you can cut here as well, so to be expected right now. So Gustav is derating and harvesting at the moment, so Joel could get it maybe in turn into sector 3, just like we saw last time, but maybe not as well. 9.3 seconds is the gap between Duncan and Dylan. That is just huge. As we saw Williams bin it, that is Neon. That is Neon down in 17th place, and his race has just gone from bad to worse at the moment, and he's only going to get, I think, a few points out of this. But don't forget, as long as you finish the race, you score points. So if I were you, Neon, I would keep going.
Yeah, keep going in this race. You will score some points, and any points can be valuable in this championship. Of course, Giroffu pitted onto the soft compound tyres, interestingly, so he's going for a soft run in the middle of the race. He's having a run at Menno down towards turn number 14. Menno leaving the door open for the Aston Martin, not fighting it, although he's got a good run on the exit. And as I say that, he gets too trigger happy on the throttle and loses the rear of the car. So Giroffu then up into 8th place, and of course, after his first stop, trying to work his way forwards. It's been a good race so far for the Never Last driver. You've got to say they had a bit of a horror show, unfortunately, in Australia, but he seems to be, at the moment, the only one on this alternate strategy that's making it work, because the next person down the road that's just pitted for the first time is Colin Mason, and Colin Mason's nearly 15 seconds further behind.
To be fair, Colin's had a good race as well. He's gained 3 places off the start as well. So he was another driver who made it work, but not as much as Giroffu, who's gained 5 places. So 2 of the stars out of the alternate strategy, but we have some of the drivers who were yet to be on the pace right now as well, as we've already had people that have made their 2 stops. So the likes of Rado down in 19th, we had a bit of an issue as well. We saw Yuri in 18th going on from the hard tyres to the medium tyres. So those 2, they don't need to stop again. They will get those tyres to the end. But I am questioning the decision of those 2 going on to the medium tyres. I'm just checking to see if the mediums do go to the end. I think they just about get to the end. They are the last 16 laps, so it's going to be a bit of a push, but if any of those drivers could do it, those 2 can. But if they can make those tyres last again, they don't have to make another stop, as Joey also comes out, and he's a driver that also does not have to do a second stop.
Yeah, made the second stop in the race, like you say, but it's going to be a stretch to get those mediums to the end. That is, 17 laps on a set of medium compound tyres. That is a tall order from this point in the race, considering you've only done, possibly 10 in the first stint. So you would have needed to maybe go another 3 or 4 laps on this set, just to maybe be comfortable towards the end. Giroffu passed Lewis on the last lap. He's now chasing down Joel and Gustav on the soft compound tyres. So going well so far for the Never Last man. P5 could be on the cards here. It looks like at the moment Sam Corboy a bit too far down the road maybe, and Harry B, of course, with a penalty could bring him back into contention a bit further down with his Aston Martin teammate. Duncan still leads. Duncan is still in this race. Duncan leads the race by 11.5 seconds, so it's Australia all over again, but instead it's a McLaren out front instead of a Red Bull. So Duncan leads by 11.5 seconds. Dylan holding on to second, but now that the traffic's gone, Harry B and Sam Corboy, at least on pace alone, look the faster of the three drivers battling for second at the moment.
Don't forget, Duncan is actually challenging in the F1 Challenger Series next year as well for the F1 22 Series. As Giroffu and Joe are going side by side. Giroffu on the soft compounded tyres, going wheel to wheel there into turn 8 and then heading towards turn 9. Giroffu doing fantastic. I don't know how he's going to do those soft tyres to last until the next stint, but I wonder if he's doing the opposite strategy. I wonder if he's doing medium, soft, medium. I wonder if he wants to be faster in this stint and then be a lot slower towards the end and increase that gap. That's what I'm thinking. Or is he going to be brave and do 2 soft stints, which is going to be a lot difficult for him, but if there's a man that can do it, he can as well. But yeah, Duncan, he's a man that wants to be in F1 Esports next year, and he's just showing that he's on the pace of F1 Esports as well. 12 seconds is the gap, which is absolutely easy right now, and Sam Corby is chasing down Harry for P3 as well. He is going to be P3 anyway due to Harry B's penalties. Packer and Colin have all scored penalties as well as Chashida, Neon, Joey and Rado. Everyone else has got no penalties to their name so far. Giroffu then he's now chasing down another car, and it is Gustav for P5. Never Last Racing is on absolute fire right now, but are they on the right strategy, and are they going to compromise their pace towards the end? But they are going to be fast now, but towards the end they may not be. But, to be honest, they know the strategy more than we do. We're just commentators! He's gone into a spin and he's hit the wall. If it was standard damage, he would have retired. I'm almost certainly. But luckily it's on reduced damage, so the damage is very minor. So, but I think he's lost a bit of his front wing then and played. So, again, another commentator's curse. I said I wasn't going to make any more this stream, but I did. So, sorry to the Never Last Racing boys. I just jinxed your driver there. Unintendedly, of course, but he's dropped down to 10th now. Not ideal.
No, not ideal at all. Front wing damage as well is going to have to come into the pit lane. So that strategy call that we were questioning now flies out of the window, unfortunately. And, man, we just can't stop cursing drivers at the moment, can we? It just keeps, unfortunately, going that I think people are worried when we start commentating over their battles because it seems like something happens every time we do. Yellow flag in Sector 2. Joel's gone round now. The IFR man has spun the car, the Mercedes. He's dropped it coming into turn number 12. So just out of 11 into 12 before the bridge. I don't know if he's got any damage or not. We shall wait and see. Jirofu is right behind him. I don't know if he was assisted. I don't think he was anywhere near anybody on track. He was in between Gustav and Lewis. I don't think he had any contact. Looks like he's just dropped it on his own. I can't see any visible damage, but his tyres will be absolutely cooked after that spin. Menno now onto the back of Lewis. So Menno continuing his charge forward in this race from the very back of the field, now running in 7th position, and that's a legit 7th place despite a spin earlier on. He now has a look at back of Lewis for 6th on the road, so good recovery so far from the Ferrari man. He's looking pretty strong and he's going to dive into the pit. He's going to try the undercut on the Alpine. So Menno into the pits is the first of one of our proper leaders in this race to make their second and final stop as Jirofu's into the pits to repair his front wing.
Yeah, what's happening to Joel there? He
he's hit the wall.
missed the pit lane. Oh my goodness, he's been disqualified!
Oh,
that has gone bad to worse for the IRL boys and IFR boys, sorry, and they will be getting 0 points. That's just cruel. It's a hard pit lane, but the game just didn't give him enough time to get back onto the pit lane. That's cruel. I'm sorry. But yeah, they won't be scoring any points, but the good news for Radau, he's not going to be last anymore, so he's got more motivation at least, but that is a shame for Joe, who was running so well. Jirofu then is also going for the undercut as he goes on to a set of medium tyres as well, up into 14th position, and we'll see what the ones who've just pitted could do, because we've also got Packer in this as well, and Pass there as well. And I have to say, Menno, he just had a roller coaster of a race, and we didn't think he'll be 7th before the final round of pit stops due to the amount of spins. Imagine what could have happened if he didn't have that spin. He could have been up near where Gustav and Lewis were.
Yeah, he could be even higher up, couldn't he, without that spin. So, still a great recovery drive from the Ecos man marching his way forwards. We'll keep an eye on his pace. He was, of course, just behind, I believe, Lewis on the road in P7. So, keep an eye on that gap between him and Lewis, and we'll see if Lewis reacts to his pit stop. Harry B is coming in to the pit lane. He's, remember, got to serve that 5-second speeding penalty from the first pit stop. So, he's going to have a longer stop in the Aston Martin. Lewis is also into the pit lane. Gustav stays out. So, Lewis coming in. Oh, Lewis himself almost missing the pit lane entry and having to come to a stop to make sure he makes his way in. So that could have cost him a place to Menno, and Packer's not that far back either. Packer could jump Lewis with that mistake as well. So we'll keep an eye on that. We'll see where Harry comes out. Harry out of the pit lane then. There goes Libanow, but Libanow still yet to make his second stop. Same with Ashida as well in 8th position. Harry will come out onto the track in 9th, but barely ahead of Ecos Menno. So Harry really losing out in that pit stop phase. Menno comfortably ahead of Lewis. Packer ahead of Lewis as well. So in a lap, Lewis has lost well over 3, close to 4 seconds to Menno.
Don't forget as well, it takes a while to warm your tyres up here in Singapore. So Menno, I think he's done a good job with that undercut, and he's going to close into Harry very quickly. He's already almost in DRS range then. 1.1 seconds is the gap then, and there's only 2 DRS zones to worry about. So Menno, he's going to try and see if the undercut will pay off for him. Sam Corby, though, is having a battle with Dylan. He's 5 tenths behind Dylan. Sam is starting to have another comeback. It's all that Ferrari boys, isn't it? They have been having spins after spin after spins, and or even incidents in Sam's case, because he got very unlucky with the Williams driver. and he's still in P3 in this race. That shows how fast Sam really is. I believe he's also another driver who's going to be in the Challenger Series next season. Best of luck to him as Dylan and Sam go into the pits for the undercut. Duncan also in the pits. Dylan the only one of the leading bunch to stay out because Gustav also goes into the pits too.
Yeah, they're all top 4 all into the pit lane. Colin Mason will likely continue on. He's not made his second stop in this race. He'll be followed by his other Red Bull teammate of Thomas. Then Duncan, his lead was so massive, he's going to come out back onto the track comfortably in the lead once again. So Duncan still leads after his pit stop. Colin Mason will go into second on the road, and Thomas will go third on the road. Dylan does still beat Callboy out of the pit lane. They're still very close together though. Libanow ahead of them. Then where is Harry B? Of course, having to serve that 5-second penalty has cost him big time. Ooh, bit of contact a bit further down.
No, I thought Harry would be getting Gustav there, but it made contact there, but no, they didn't. Harry just got ahead of Gustav, so that was very, very close. And look who's also in this fight as well. Equals Menno. He has no penalty, so he could get Gustav. Dylan is trying to get past his AlphaTauri compatriot of Yoshida. Don't forget, they're not in the same team for this event as well, so they won't know when these drivers have pitted because they won't know about the double stacking, which could be frustrating for some of the drivers, but you've got to time your strategies perfectly. If you know that the driver near the back is starting on mediums and you starting on softs, maybe you want to pit early potentially as well. So Dylan, he doesn't need to worry about the double stack as his teammate has not pitted so far. So stop update for these drivers if I just get these up. So Duncan has made his 2 stops, so has Dylan and Sam Corby. Harry B, Gustav, Menno, Packer, Lewis, Passe, Giroffu, Joey, not Neon, Yuri and Rado have made their 2 stops. Everybody else yet to make their second stop. That's like Sir Colin, Thomas, Libanow, Yoshida and Neon. So if they don't make their 2 stops, of course, they will be disqualified. And we are seeing some battles starting to form. Giroffu and Passe, I think, could be one of the battles to watch out for as well. As Giroffu is closing in, of course. Kind of sitting in 14th as well, but they're going to gain masses due to obviously 3 drivers yet to make their second stop. Packer setting the fastest lap so far, so he is starting to push. Not the race he would have hoped for, but still valuable points for QVR. Yeah, valuable points, like you say. He's closing on the back of this queue now as the likes of Dylan, Sam Corboy, Harry B and Gustav and Menno as well have to close in on traffic. Packer's now using that opportunity to try and close back in on these drivers. And Dylan going for the move on Libanow in towards turn 7. Sam Corboy's going to try and do the same. Can't find it. Oh, almost found a gap down the inside, but there wasn't enough there when he couldn't get the move done. So Dylan now ahead of Libanow. Sam Corboy's got to try and find his way through. Packer another penalty in this race. That's his second penalty of the race. Now that's going to hinder his progress as he catches up to the queue. Sam Corboy now a little bit stuck here. Yellow flag further down. That is Yuri off the road. Yeah, Yuri off the road at the back. He's now a lap down, unfortunately, behind Duncan. It's been a bit of a horror show, unfortunately, for him and for Rado as well, who is nearly a lap down. Sam Corboy here really stuck behind Libanow, trying to find a way through. He can't find a way through there. He's going to have to go for the outside line for turn number 14. It'll be a bold move around the outside if he can pull the move off. The Williams, though, is going to try and hold it down the inside, but with a far superior grip, Sam Corboy is just going to drive clean around the outside of the Williams man and back up into 5th place. So it's a battle between Dylan and Sam Corboy for the second place in this race. They're penalty free as well, no threat from behind. So good old battle between those two for the final 2 spots on the podium. Duncan, meanwhile, is just romping away into the distance. Now, what a lead Duncan has in this race. We thought Silly Sly Guy's race was dominant. I think Duncan's might be even more dominant than that as further down the field. Gustav now all over the back of Harry B, and Harry B gets a time penalty. Yeah, that may cost him this race then, as Gustav tries to get the move into turn 1, but the way that Duncan has been more dominant is Duncan has not picked up any penalties. Silly Sly Guy in Australia, he picked up 2 3-second time penalties, which meant the gap was cut from 20 seconds to 15 seconds. So for Duncan, as long as he gets the gap to 15 seconds or more, then that's the biggest gap from 1st to 2nd that we have seen in a long time. So 1st to 4, because that is the people that made their 2 stops, 19.2 seconds as Harry tries to get past some traffic, and he does. He gets past Gustav in the process, well, defence for Gustav, up to 7th place, and Gustav now got to get past some traffic too, which is easier said than done. He's going to find it very hard, and he wants Yoshida to get out the way, and if he does, he's probably going to be very annoying and possibly drive very aggressively because he knows that Menno is also behind him too. Menno's got no time penalty, so Menno just needs to stay within this penalty range of the likes of Libanow and Harry, and he would get P6, which I have to say, from starting last and having spins, that is insane. So Menno has got a reason to fight. As late on the brakes goes Gustav, and he's up into 9th place. Well, stays in 9th place, but he does not get past Yoshida at the moment. Duncan sets the fastest lap of the race. To be fair, to put it into perspective, that is faster than my qualifying lap around Singapore. I could only do a 1:38 around this track.
Yeah, ridiculous speed, isn't it? Duncan is just miles clear of the rest of the field at the moment. Harry B, 2 very late and heavy dives and to get the moves done. Maybe the one at turn 7 a little bit questionable. He was off the road making the dive, but he got the move done either way, and he's now through Libanow and Yoshida. And Gustav is stuck behind these guys. That means that Menno's caught. Gustav going for the dive at turn 1. That's a late move down the inside. That was never, ever going to work. It was far too late of a dive down the inside of a corner where you can't run side by side. It was bold. That was never going to work, though. Gustav just a little bit too impatient and has just ruined not only Yoshida's race, but his race as well.
Yeah, I think they'll have to pit one more time, and they've got to be careful because with the pit lane loss, they may be a lap down. So not what they want to, of course, but we do have some more yellow flags, but just probably people moving out of the way for the lapped cars. A few people are starting to get lapped already. So Duncan's 16.1 seconds now, so Duncan is just loving life at the moment. I'm a bit curious as to why some people haven't made their final stops. Maybe they want to go onto the soft tyres to get the fastest lap at the end. No points, however, the fastest lap in this event. They only get points for if they finish a race. So the only person that's not going to get points out of the 19 drivers that are here tonight is Joe, and obviously we've got Ginger, who could not join the session, which I think was a bit cruel, to be honest. So it said there was 22 cars and 4 anonymous drivers, which was quite weird, but you know, yeah, 2 drivers not going to be scoring points today. Hopefully we'll have no more retirements, and we've still got people lower down that are still in this race. They may not be loving life in the cockpit at the moment, but at least they're going to be scoring points for their team, which could make a difference come towards the end, because they may have some strong drivers in certain tracks that may have better results and could be a lifesaver for them, and that point could make a difference, as Yoshida has got front wing damage. What happened there?
That was that contact with Gustav, of course, him and Gustav making the contact at turn 1. Yoshida went into the wall, lost his front wing. I think Gustav's into the pits. I was going to say Gustav might have gotten away with it. That's not the case. Gustav into the pits, so he's going to have to replace his front wing as well. Sam Corbo got past Dylan a couple of laps ago. He is now passing Thomas, who is still yet to make his second stop in this race. So Corbo up into 3rd on the road. Remember, racing for the Absolute units. They're the leading team at the moment in the championship on 129 points. They are actually comfortably clear of Relentless in this race, as off the road Girofu has gone, I think, coming out of turn number 2. Yes, he has. He's gone off the road, so he was running in 11th place. He's just spun through that corner. Lewis and Vapor Libanow running side by side up towards turn number 9. Libanow nearly understeering, clean into the wall as he suffers on his old medium compound tyres. Lewis is going to get the move done into turn 10 easily. He's up into 9th place on the road now. Yeah, Sam Corboy then making his way forwards for Absolute units, and for them as a team, in terms of the points against Relentless at the moment, it's a big gap, isn't it? Because Relentless currently down in 11th, not able to fight.
I just got something to say, which I think we're going to be happy about. We've already reached our target for Young Minds, £559, and the donations that we've seen so far, the remaining ones we had to get to that amount, were all from Esports Wales. So Esports Wales, you legends. I think it's going to be a competition between them and the Hummel squad, and also Elite Racing Team for who make the most donations. Esports Wales, Anders, donating £100. Wow. He said, great event and cause, wishing you all the best from Esports Wales, you legend. And obviously you have Colin, who's racing today, who's donated £15, and John, who also raced earlier, donated £15 as well. So Esports Wales, thank you very much on behalf of the team of 24 Hours of F1. Yeah, that is incredible. We've already reached our target for that, but let's make sure we get special effects some love as well. They're only on about £254, so get donating to that charity as well. But Esports Wales donating £100, that's just incredible.
Yeah, that's really, really amazing. Thank you guys for all the donations. Remember, keep the donations coming as well. We've still got a long way to go in this event. This event feels like it's going on forever. We're only on our 6th race. We've still got another 15 to go after this one. So, long way to go in this event. So, like Jess said, keep the donations coming in, and especially for special effect as well. we have yet to reach the target for them, so fingers crossed we can in the coming races. Meanwhile, on track, Sam Callboy has passed Colin Mason now, and Dylan's past ERT Thomas, as there's a spinner further down. That's Joe that's gone around.
Oh.
He was racing with Giroffu. I don't know if they've made contact, but Joe spinning the Alpine. He's drops down now into 13th place. Then Colin Mason and ERT Thomas, the two Red Bulls, still yet to make their final stops in this race, as for Libanow as well, in 10th place in that Williams. So they're going to drop down the field and probably go onto the softs. They've not run the soft compound tyres yet, so they will have to go on the softs. Surely one of the Red Bulls will be in at the end of this lap. One of them's got to stay out for another lap beyond that, so we'll wait and see which one comes in. And Colin Mason's going to come into the pits. Yes, Esports Wales Colin Mason from 3rd place on the road into the pit lane. Then we'll see where he comes out. But for so far for Esports Wales, you've got to say this has probably been their best showing of the evening so far.
To be honest, I think they're performing a lot better, I think, this event than last event, I have to say. So, fair play. I think they've got a strong calibre of drivers this time around as well. So, great to see they've improved year on year, and I think they could be the biggest improved team so far. So, Colin's going to be on the soft. I think he's not going to be that far behind, you know. He's going to gain quite a few positions because there's quite a lot of people that made mistakes. So to be fair, it's a good race from Esports Wales today, because don't forget Mike lost out in the double points race as well, and there was a few races where Esports Wales did not do well. But to be honest, Colin is just driven absolutely amazing. Vapor just pitted as well, and we'll see how they do in their soft round. So has everyone done their 2 stops now? No, just one person to make their 2 stop, and that is Thomas, and I assume that he's going to do it in the next lap. He was going to do it at the end of last lap, but he saw Colin Mason come in, and they don't want to do the double stat. So Thomas, I'm almost certain, will come in this lap. But Colin has made quite a few ground in this race. He's gained a whopping 5 positions in this race. So incredible stuff. His penalties, though, he's on 3 seconds, so he's legitimately fighting for position with the likes of Giroffu. And he could get past Passy as well. So he's doing incredible stuff. Fair play to Esports Wales.
Yeah, fair play to him, like you say, on for possibly a 9th place finish in this race if he can get to pass and then build a gap. We've got a yellow flag in the first sector. That is Yuri, I think, again, in the Mercedes that's had a moment coming out of turn 1. So he's unfortunately having a bit of a horror show of a race, it seems. So into the pit lane does come ERT Thomas, and he almost misses the pit lane, actually. He was very committed, but the Red Bull man is into the pit lane. Then he was running behind Colin Mason on the road, so you would expect him to come out in about 10th, maybe 11th place. We'll wait and see where the Red Bull man does come out. Colin Mason is all over the back of Passé for 9th at the moment, so that is their battle. Where is the Red Bull man going to come out? Got a yellow flag again in sector 2. That, I think, is just for, I think that is Neon moving out the way of our race leader. Then Thomas coming out of the pit. Passé's going to go through. Colin Mason goes through. Thomas is going to come out of the pit lane, I think just behind Giroffu. Giroffu's going to have to run through turn 1. Yes, he does. So Thomas comes out onto the track in 11th position, but he's got at least 3 cars in front of him that he can have a run at.
And crucially, Thomas has no penalties. He has no penalties, so if he could try and get past these guys, he could be on for a similar position as like a Colin as he gets past Passé before the exit of turn 7, the entry into turn 7, and that should help him clear the gap that he wants to get any penalties. And now Colin's got to try and get a 3-second gap to Passé, and then he'll get a stonking 8th place, which is insane. But yeah, I have to say the 2 Red Bull drivers medium stints, I think I've been watching them throughout the race, and they've been pretty good in terms of their first stop and their second medium stint of the race. I think a lot better than their third stint, and I think because of the clear air and not getting involved in any of the battles has definitely helped it. And you've got to be in it to win it, and that's what these 2 have been doing. Never give up as well. So we've got more yellow flags of people moving out of the way. The Mercedes boys are just not having a good time today, as they've just had another spin, and he's got front wing damage as well, so he's going to be in danger of being 2 laps down by the end. But you have to score. You have to finish to score points. So that is what the boys at Team Speed Esports will be thinking. As long as you finish, you score points. And Sam is fighting for Dylan for 2nd place at the moment, and Dylan is trying to catch up at the moment, as Dylan is going to be lapping likes of Yuri and Rado very, very soon as well. Menno has flown under the radar in the last few laps. I thought he was going to be 7th or something, but at the end of the race, he's up into 5th place, and if he gains about a second, he could be on for 4th.
Yeah, he could be on for a 4th place, couldn't he? As Thomas now going down the inside there of Giroffu into turn number 1. So Thomas up into 10th place. He'll be chasing then after Passé. Passé with no penalties as well. They'll be fighting full position on track. That's his next target then a 9th place finish for Elite Racing Team in this race. Yeah, Menno flown under the radar in the last part of this race, but 5th place at the moment and no penalties. If he can get within penalty range of Harry B, that could be a 4th place finish in the back of the field. It's only the one penalty for Harry B at the moment, so Menno needs to find a second to get within range of the Aston Martin, and he's got the Haas of Kvyat Packer and the Alpine of Lewis 11004 really hammering the back of that Ferrari at the moment, really pushing him forward. So they're all trying to gain some time at this point in the race. Then further down, Gustav has pitted for another time. He's going to come in, put a fresh set of softs on. It looks like he's going to go for the fastest lap of the race, despite there being no point for it. By the way, 3 laps to go next time we cross the line. We want to, well, just over 3 laps to go. Duncan still leads. What a lead he has. 23.3 seconds is his lead over Sam Corby. And Corby's already won twice tonight. He's won in Jeddah, and then he won at the 3rd race. In, I can't even remember now off the top of my head what the 3rd or the 4th race was.
Japan? No, was it Monza? It was the 3rd race.
Yeah, but yeah, he's still won multiple races so far tonight, has Sam, in that Ferrari. What a drive from Duncan to be this far clear of the Ferrari at the moment, and a good drive as well from XL Dillon. You've got to say XL have had good speed, but they've not had the luck. They've only finished inside the top 10 once so far this evening. That was at Jeddah in the first round with Killer Blue. Dillon, though, on the podium at the moment for XL. This could be a bit of a turning point for them in this event.
Yeah, we could. XL before Singapore are on 32 points. So if they get a 3rd place this evening in Singapore, they could jump quite a bit as well. So yeah, brilliant stuff. Imagine if Duncan would use this as a double points race. That would have been huge. But obviously they were not sure if he was going to do well here tonight. So they've chosen another track where they're going to go the double points race. And there's quite a few people that used it already. Some people have not used it very well. And there's some people that have performed very well. With 2 drivers already scoring 50 points for their teams, which is going to make a difference in the final standings come the end of the race. But we're almost heading to the end, and Duncan, like with Silly Slide Guy, Duncan could pit and he could still be ahead of Sam Corbett if he keeps this up, but I don't think he's going to. He's not going to take the risk. There's no fastest lap point, but if it was a normal race with a fastest lap point, I'm sure Duncan would have done that anyway. Same with the likes of other people that have got a big gap as well. But yeah, shame there's no fastest lap point in this event, but otherwise we would be here all night. So yeah, Duncan still leads, Sam in 2nd, Dillon 3rd, and Menno, he's got a fine 8 tenths on Harry in the final few laps. Can he do it? We're on lap 29 at this moment in time, as Duncan is about to start lap 30. And it's not going to be that long before we start Austria, which will be the next round. I believe the lobby is set up, and they're going to be inviting people as we speak to minimise the delay. That the commentators for that the next 2 rounds, which will be Austria and Netherlands, will be James Head and Luke Everidge. So if you're in the Austria lobby, make sure you keep an eye on your invites, as they could be sent as we speak, just to make sure we minimise the delay. So yeah, I'm looking forward to watching Austria. It always brings some great races in the past, and I believe it opened the 24-hour event last year as well. So yeah, I think that should be an absolute classic. But make sure you stay tuned in. But final few laps of Singapore to go. But if you're racing in Austria, keep an eye out on your invites and join as soon as possible.
Yeah, of course, try and join as soon as possible. Hopefully we can get this back on track a little bit of a delay, of course, before this one. Oh, Dillon's left the lobby.
No!
Oh, no, that is such a shame for XL Dillon with, well, my word, with 2 laps to go out of 3rd place. Dillon's going to plummet now. That is so unlucky for XL and for Dillon as well. He was having such a good race up until this point. Hopefully he can get back in and recontrol his car for the final lap and not lose too much, but already Harry B is on the back of his desynced car. That is such a shame for the XL team. Harry B then goes through and up into 3rd, and it won't be long until Menno is there as well. So what a shame for Dillon. It's just not going XL's way at the moment. They've not had the luck so far in this event, and yet again it strikes here at Singapore. Dillon running in a comfortable 3rd, lags out of the lobby, which is a real shame. Menno coming at them now with Packer and Lewis in quick tow. The 2 Red Bulls, by the way, running 8th and 9th now. Colin Mason passing Passé a few laps to go and is completely cleared off. Thomas passing Passé as well and is now pulling away. So both softs at the end of the race for the 2 Red Bull drivers, working quite nicely, in Colin Mason and ERT Thomas, on for a comfortable 8th and 9th place finish.
I have to say, a good result. I think it'll be Thomas's best result of the night as well, because he raced, I can't remember what race he raced at. Was it Portugal? I think it was Portugal he raced at, or Monza, but he didn't score quite well, but he's scoring brilliantly today as Menno has got past the AI car of Dillon. I'm not sure Dillon will be scoring points unless he gets back in within the next lap or so. So, I'll see if I can try and get him back in the lobby, because it's unfair that he's not in the lobby. So I'll see what I can do. Hopefully he can get back in time for Dylan to score some points. Otherwise, I don't think he's online either, so I can't invite him. So yeah, it looks like XL will not be scoring any points, unfortunately.
That is a real shame. That is such a shame. He was having such a good race up until then, but hopefully they can bounce back at a future round. We shall wait and see. By the way, we're on the final lap of the race. Duncan just crossed the line to start the final lap of the race with a near 25-second lead over the rest of the field. My oh my, what a dominant performance this has been from Duncan. Sam in second as well is 10 seconds clear of third. So the lead that Duncan has over third place in this race is close to nearly 35 seconds, close to 40. So what a lead Duncan has over the rest of the field in this one. The field are really spread out from in the top four, and then it's Menno, Packer and Lewis all in quick succession, very close to one another. Colin Mason and Thomas, by the way, do have a good opportunity of passing Dylan's stricken AI car here as well, so they could possibly gain another place in this race, and that would be good for their points haul for the two Red Bull teams. So we shall wait and see whether they can get close enough. We'll follow Duncan on this final lap, because nobody's really close enough to anyone else to make an overtake stick. What a performance for Duncan. We thought City Sly Guy's performance was dominant. This is on a completely another level.
Yeah, I have to say, Duncan has not put a foot wrong. One of the only drivers to not make a mistake. So he's doing incredible stuff for his team, and that could make a difference towards the end of it. And he's going towards the final sector now. He could just cruise it through some of the corners. He can play it safe if he wants to. But he wants to show why he's one of the best drivers in this lobby at the moment, and he wants to win this race. So this is going to be incredible for him, and incredible for Sam as well. Sam has had a good result, but here comes Duncan towards the final few corners.
Yeah, Duncan then to the final two corners of the lap then. Around the final corner comes VSR Duncan. What a dominant performance for the Becquerel team. They get the win at Singapore. Brilliant drive from them. And now it's a long old wait for Sam Corby to finish in second position in this race. Is he going to try and stay under the 25-second marker? I don't know if he's going to be able to as he rounds the final few corners. No, he's just fallen out of it. So Sam is going to lose more time on this final lap, but a second place finish for him means that they continue to lead this event at the top of the sheets, do the absolute units. Brilliant drive from him after a spin early on as well, remember. Good recovery to second place. Another long wait, and it's Harry B is going to come home in third. Despite the penalty, he has enough in hand to hold on to a third position in this race. Menno will finish in fourth in the end, ahead of Packer, who will cross the line fifth, but he loses out on penalties to Lewis. Lewis ends up in fifth, ahead of Packer in sixth. Colin Mason does get past Dylan's AI car, and he's going to finish in seventh on the road, but I think Dylan's AI car is just going to keep within penalty range of Colin Mason. So Colin Mason seventh on the road, but it will drop to eighth position, although Dylan may not score the points for that because he wasn't in control of his car. Thomas in ninth, and then Passé for the Relentless team will round off the top 10. Droff cross the line, then it's Libnow and Joey we just wait for. Libnow crossing the line in 12th position after a few battles early on in the race. Joe will be the last person to cross the line, nearly a lap down in this race. What a race of attrition it was in the end. A lot of drivers making mistakes. The field very, very spread out in the end, and Duncan completely dominant. No one could come close.
Yeah, I think every time someone is going to race Duncan, I think people will be wise. Same with City Sly Guy. I think those are the two drivers to watch out for today, and Sam Corby. But don't forget, there's still some drivers who are yet to race that may be a huge threat compared to those drivers as well. But we're waiting for Joey to cross the line, and it's been some incredible two races to cover as well, and some strong performances by some teams as well. And Menno obviously drove the day in game. He started last. Obviously, he, of course, had the wheel thrown on them and started last in Singapore, and it paid off as well. So brilliant motivator for people who are yet to do a last two challenge as part of their team. That shows that you can do it, especially possibly around Austria, which is a track that we're going to next, which is going to be very, very exciting. But top three, very well deserved. We've got Duncan, we've got Sam, and we've got Harry as well. And Harry, I was just talking about briefly just before the race as part of their team's profile. So you can thank me, Harry, for me talking about your team for you to get a good result. You're welcome. You're welcome.
Worked perfectly in the end, didn't it then? Let's run through this final order then. Duncan wins from pole position. What a performance from the McLaren man. Sam Corby gets second position for the Ferrari, and then it's Harry B in third. Menno then, in this last to first event, from the very back of the field, ends up fourth. Great drive from the Ecos man, and that's Ecos' best showing of the night so far. Lewis in fifth, had a QVR Packer in sixth. Dylan, unfortunately lagging out of the lobby at the end, running in third for the majority of that race, ends up down in seventh and might not get the points because he wasn't in control of his car, sadly. Colin Mason in eighth place in the end, the lead of those on that alternate strategy. Good result from him. Then it's Thomas in ninth, and Passé rounding off the top 10 for Relentless. Jirofu in 11th, they had a Lib now 12th, Joey 13th, and then everyone below that was a lap down in the end. So Ishida, Gustav, Neon, Radu, Speedway Racer, all a lap down. In fact, Speedway Racer 3 laps down in the end at the end of that race. Joel, two laps down, sorry. And Joel, the only retiree in the race, having spun and having, well, crashed into the pit lane entry and being disqualified for blocking the pit lane. So that is it for us two then, Jess. That is, well, two very interesting races, two races of attrition. What's been your highlight of the two?
I don't know. I think there's been some good races. I think I enjoyed the battles in Singapore more. I think I enjoyed Menno's comeback for the field as well. We saw people that weren't expected to do well, score very well, like the two Red Bull drivers as well. Astonishing performances from them as well. They didn't put a foot wrong. They saw other people make a mistake and they capitalised on it. So strong for them. Obviously Silly Sly Guy in the Australia race and Duncan in this race as well. And both of these races are race for attrition, but yeah, I'm going to take a nice long break now because I need to have food. And I'll be back in the commentary box around 11:15 tonight for Mexico, which I think should be a good race. And I'll be commentating alongside Killer Blue as well, which I haven't commentated alongside before, so it should be a good one. And when are you in the car next, Aidan?
Well, I'm in the car next tomorrow morning at 6:20 for the Canadian GP, so I'll be back in control of the Relentless car then, and I'll be back in the commentary box as well tomorrow for the Bahrain race. That is 4 rounds away from the end of the race. I'll be back in the commentary box then alongside Dakar, who of course commentated the first 2 rounds. So we'll wait and see. Thank you, Jess, though, for commentating alongside me. It's been a really, really fun event. We'll be now transitioning over to James Head and Luke Etheridge. I believe he'll be taking us through the next couple of rounds in this event. Austria is round 7. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Remember to keep donating. Remember to command donate in the chat, and the donation links will pop up for you. They'll be popping up periodically as well throughout the stream, so make sure you are donating. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in for these last 2 rounds, and we'll hand over to the next the next pair of commentators. Thank you so much.
You're off.
Amazing.
Time to get some food.
You're...
Thanks, that was fun. We kind of switched roles, didn't we? Because last time I was the lead, wasn't I, last event?
Yeah, you were. Yeah.
So we kind of switched roles.
That was good, though. That was nice.
Yeah, that was fun. I enjoyed it. But yeah, I'm going to go and enjoy the rest of the event. And